I've never done this before.
Good evening, Aaron. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I was going, wow, I don't hear anything coming out. I see the lips moving, but nothing's going. I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, Anna, it's not fair that we're in quarantine and you look that beautiful.
No, it's because I'm doing a special Oscar video for Vaca High with my husband. So we are doing my Oscar look.
It looks good.
Where's your hubby? What's he look like?
Yeah.
Is he all gussied up?
He's actually taking a shower because he's just cutting some wood in the backyard. So, but he's about to get Oscared out for our little video for Vaca High's senior scholarship stuff.
Very nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Tony doesn't gussy up.
I'm making him wear a tie, Ed.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so Colleen, is Amanda your daughter? Yeah, I can see your lips moving, but I'm just reading and I can't hear you.
So no, Amanda Moe is Ed Santa Padre's favorite assistant principal's younger sister. So Ashley Moe was our senior class president how many years ago, Ed? I know she's like a junior in college now.
3 or 4.
Yeah, in the nursing program. But Amanda is her younger sister.
She's outstanding. Hopefully that's her that's on here. But if it's not, we'll see.
I don't know I don't know how to zoom. I don't know how to do this.
No, a lot of people. This is good. This is fun.
One way to get out of cooking dinner.
Wow.
We'll see.
I just wish we were all in chambers. I could see you.
Miss Jane, you are here. Mr. Michael, Sean, Tracy, Miss Shelley up in the corner. Is Miss Cherie with us? Anybody see Miss Cherie?
I don't see her.
Okay, so we'll give it another minute or two until she joins us.
Cherie is with us.
I am here.
Oh, there you are. I'm sorry.
John, you're not visible to me. Are you? Are you not being visible?
I'm getting ready for the Oscar presentation. Oh wait, no, that was somebody else. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the laugh. There you go.
You look better the other way.
It was a pretty sad laugh, Shelley. Thanks. All right. 6:30 on the dot. What do you say we get going?
Rock and roll.
Got a lot of stuff on the agenda tonight. I'd like to welcome everybody to the normally scheduled meeting of the Vacaville Unified School District Board of Trustees. We look forward to a very positive meeting and making some good decisions for not only our kids, but our staff and our citizens as well. So with that, we will have a short moment of reflection, please. All right, and thank you. We'll move, before we move into the pledge though, I failed to mention just the rules of engagement as well. I have muted everybody except I think myself and Miss Jane. If you would like to comment on anything, any of the topics that are there, or the board members would like to speak, I think I have you all on one page, but again, if you could put something in chat, and I'll keep an eye on that and give that some time so everybody can speak and input from there if needed. All right. So with that, if we could say the pledge. I've got a little flag right here again, so I'll go ahead and lead it if you join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Perfect. Thank you. So Dr. Jane, any changes to the agenda tonight as presented?
No, no changes.
No changes. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make it.
Sean made the motion, Mr. Silva with the second, and our roll call vote. Our order for this evening is Shelley,
Yes.
Cherie,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Michael Kitsis,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and myself is a yes as well. Perfect. So I'm going to report on number 10 of closed action items. The following actions were taken during closed session. Approve the appointment of Latanya Crutherd as principal of Cooper Elementary School by a unanimous roll call vote of 7-0. Okay, perfect.
Time for applause. Everybody's
Yay! And I apologize if I butchered her name because we were debating which way to say it, and I may have not said it either way. So
She's so happy to be principal. She doesn't care how you call her name.
well, very good. All right. Comments on the floor. This would be for anybody from the public or anyone that would like to talk to the board on an item that is not on the agenda. It's limited to 3 minutes per person, 21 minutes per topic. And if you would like to take advantage of that, if you could chat your name, I will give you a few seconds to do that if anybody is interested in speaking to the board. And seeing none, we'll move to number.
John, I think I saw some hands up.
I think we need to
I think we
direct
need a couple more
how to
minutes.
chat.
Okay. So
Maybe
if you-
people don't know how to use it. Maybe explain.
So on the bottom of your Zoom should be a chat option icon for you to do. If you could do that and then type in the message, just your name, and I will call on you if you would like to speak. And I got a bunch of people with no pictures, so it's hard to see. Still not seeing anybody. Is there anybody that would like to speak? See your hand.
I see a hand from Sandy. I don't know her last name though.
All right, let's
On my page, I know there's a couple pages.
Let's find Sandy. Sandy, okay, go ahead. Would you like to, you can unmute yourself or touch the space bar. Here, there you go. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I've never done this before, so.
We'll get you through it.
Well, thank you for having me. I just wanted to touch base on graduation, and I just had an idea roll around in my head. I've put out a petition. I started a petition on April 18th, just to kind of put a bug in the ear of everybody so that, our seniors don't get overlooked. But as I go through this, if you wouldn't mind keeping in the back of your minds how you felt the day that you walked across the field. Sorry, I'm so emotional. And you got your diploma and you threw your cap in the air with everybody that you love looking on, and so on and so forth. The average football field, and some of you might know this, of course, measures 300 feet by 53.5 feet, and that's just the grass. We have about 401 graduates at Vaca High, and with the 6 foot social distancing in mind, and the measurements of just the grass area, that would more than equal out to 6 foot space between each student. As following those guidelines. What else was I going to mention? And then I was mentioning, there was the thought about whether or not family would be able to attend, because everything's changing so fast. And I was in line at Costco the other day, and they having to wait outside, and inside too, and they had the taped off lines with the 6 foot distancing, and it kind of dawned on me, we stand in line to get into the football games anyway. What if we had a 6 foot tape there for families, and if we had to dial it down to just mom and dad, depending on I don't have the specs for the bleachers, but depending on how much space there would be, we could tape off the 6 foot and people abide by that. And then they would take their place on the bleachers. And again, maybe using that tape strategy, here's mom and dad and maybe a sibling, however that would work out. And then 6 feet down is the next family, and so on and so forth. It was just an idea. At the end of the day, I think our town has done a stellar job following the protocol and meeting the moment. And I think our seniors have done a stellar job working for that diploma, and I'd really like to give them that day somehow.
Perfect. Well, Sandy, thank you very much for your input, and we definitely appreciate it. And everybody that needs to hear it is here present. So thank you. Okay. With that, Jane, the superintendent's comments or correspondence?
Thank you, President Jansen. Good to see everybody. Glad everybody's here. I want to start with some really exciting announcements, some new administrative appointments. We actually have 3, and we're very excited about all 3 of them. I want to start with somebody you all know probably very well, met before, is the new Jepson principal. We appointed Anna Farina, and she's going to say a few words in a minute. Everybody's clapping, Anna. I want to say a little bit about Anna's background. She graduated from Vallejo High School before earning a Bachelor's of Arts in History at UC San Diego. She earned a Master of Arts in Education and a single subject social science credential with a bilingual emphasis from the University of San Francisco. She taught social science at Fairfield High School from 2005 to 2013. She was also the Student Activities Director from 2007 to 2013. In 2013, that was a good year, she came to Vacaville and School District and transferred to Vaca High, where she taught until 2018. While she was at Vaca High, she was the avid coordinator and part-time administrator. She earned her administrative credential from St. Mary's College in 2015. In 2018, she was the Dean of Learning at Vaca High, and last year she was the assistant principal at Jepson Middle School. She has moved very quickly, but an important part of Anna's history, she's been named Teacher of the Year twice. In 2009, she was the Fairfield Sassoon Teacher of the Year, and in 2017, she was not just the Vacaville Unified Teacher of the Year, but she won Solano County Teacher of the Year. And I have a great story Mr. Santapadre told me, and I don't know if Anna knows this story. When she came and applied in 2013 for Vaca High, during the interview process, there were 2 other teachers from the same district she came from that were interviewing, and they found out that Anna was interviewing, and they basically asked during the interview if they could be considered for future openings. Basically conceding to Anna Farina, outstanding educator. And the other thing I know about Anna is I have never seen her not smile. And I think that's because she just loves what she does. So Anna, just want to say a few words?
Thank you. Good evening, Governing Board and Superintendent Shamea. After that enchanted career at Fairfield High School, I did come over to Vacaville, and Vacaville Unified opened its doors to me as a teacher at Vaca High. That bulldog spirit would come to blow me away as I quickly came to embrace and love the school, the staff, and the students. It was there that I grew to be the type of educator that I always wanted to be, and I was able to begin programs like AVID and AP Psych that continue well after I've left. And it was there that I was able to help our most at-risk youth achieve their goals and dreams. If Vaca High helped me become the educator I always wanted to be, then Jepson is teaching me to be the leader I wish to be for others. The Jaguar family is one of the most passionate groups of educators that I've worked with in my career. Jepson brought me in this year as its assistant principal and welcomed me as one of its own. I consider myself lucky to work alongside people determined to make a difference in the lives of our youth. I was once scared of middle school, as you can imagine, but that time has come and gone, and the middle is where it's at, and I think Mrs. Mo would agree with me, and I cannot wait to continue to build upon the rich history that is Jepson Middle School. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and I just can't wait to see what the future holds.
Thank you, Anna. Congratulations. So the next appointment is the Vacaville Dean of Learning Support, and that is Melissa Manini. I hope I said her name correctly. She graduated from Woodland High School before earning her bachelor's degree in psychology from UCLA. She worked 4 years in the Watts tutorial program in Los Angeles, delivering tutoring services to underserved children from the Watts housing projects. In 2014, Melissa returned to Northern California to become a para-educator in Rio Linda and Rockland. She completed her multiple subject credential at UC Davis in 2016. She's taught 6th grade at Markham Elementary for 5 years. And while at Markham, she mentored the robotics and running clubs. She completed training in professional learning communities and AVID, and she recently attended UC Berkeley, where she completed the Principal Leadership Institute and earned her administrative services credential. Another amazing young woman that we've pretty much grown our own into leadership here. And I feel a little bad for Markham because she was a phenomenal teacher at Markham. They're gonna miss her very much. So Melissa, are you here? Can you say a few words?
I'm here, Jane. Yeah, thank you for that introduction. So hi, everybody. Like Jane said, my name is Melissa Mainini, and I have loved my time at Markham for the past 5 years as a 6th grade teacher. But I am so excited to embark on the uniqueness and the challenge of middle school, and to get to do so at Vacaville alongside Mrs. Mo and Miss Brown. Earlier this year, when I made the decision to start thinking about leaving the classroom and pursuing administration, I knew that I wanted to do so in Vacaville. I told Ed that I really wanted to be a homegrown administrator. Part of that is because I already care about and really believe in our students. But a big part of that is because I believe in the leadership of our district. I believe in the capacity of the adults that drive the VUSD. So this really is a team that I want to be a part of. I hear that the middle is where it's at, so I'm very excited to make that transition, and I truly am honored to get to serve our community and our district in this new role.
Thank you, Melissa. Welcome. Everybody's clapping. And last but certainly not least is Aaron Tolliver, who is the new Vacaville High School Assistant Principal. He graduated from Armijo High School in Fairfield and went on to complete a Bachelor of Business Administration degree at Golden Gate University. Aaron owned and managed a cleaning company before returning to school to earn a special education credential from National University. He taught at non-public schools in Fairfield and at Wilsey Wood High School before returning to earn his administration credential at Touro University. Last year, he was the assistant principal at Golden West Middle School in Travis School District. When we interviewed Aaron, I felt like I just had a cup of coffee. He is so energetic and positive. He made me feel energetic. And also, one of the things Aaron said in the interview was that his son had such a great experience at Vaca High. His son graduated a year ago, and he saw this as an opportunity to give back. So I'm just excited, Aaron, to have you as part of our team, and please say a few words for the board.
Right on. President Danson, Superintendent Shamea, thank you for this opportunity. And when I think about, I can go to Vaca High where people put in a lot of good work for my son, and it really not only put him on a different trajectory in life, it really showed me what education and what the passion of education can be. So when I see the opportunity to not only get to Vaca High, but this wonderful district, I had to jump at that in just a minute. I'm looking so forward to putting in just hard work. I'm looking forward to growing as an educational leader within this district with great people. I've already had conversations with Samantha. I've had conversations with Adam and with Andrea, and I'm just looking forward to getting started. Let's do this, really. So again, thank you for the opportunity, and I am beyond fired up and excited to be back home to Vacaville. Thank you.
You see what I mean about his energy? Thank you, Aaron. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. So now, as part of my superintendent's comment, we, after that upbeat and positive, we're going to try to stay positive. But Kelly Burks is going to give a brief budget update. Today was, as some of you probably know, the governor's May revision to the budget. And so Kelly, being the real smart person that she is, has actually really paid attention to the latest news from the governor today. So this is kind of fresh off the press. She's going to share with us a quick update on the budget situation and what that may look like for Vacaville. Kelly? Kelly, I forgot to introduce her properly, our interim chief business official.
Thank you, Superintendent Shamea. Good evening, board and superintendent. So I am here to give a latest off-the-press update. They've only currently released the summary at the time that I was typing this up, and a few minutes ago they released the details, but not a lot has changed since then. So I will go ahead and give you a brief overview of the budget. So May Revise is an important update for us, especially now in the climate that we're in. Things have changed dramatically since January, which was the last revision that the governor provided. So in January, he was projecting a $222 billion budget with a $5.6 billion surplus to add to California's reserves. And it's amazing how much has changed in these last 2 or 3 months and just how quickly. So now what he proposed today and shared out was that we are facing a $54.3 billion deficit. And then he also shared some unemployment numbers. And he was saying that as of Friday, which was the last release of their numbers, we were at 18% just in California. And to put that in perspective, at the time of the Great Recession, unemployment hit a peak at 12%. And the governor believes that unemployment still has not yet peaked due to this recession. And he thinks that it will peak out at about 24%, so double of what it was in the Great Recession. So how schools are funded is from a formula from Proposition 98. And of that, K-12 is separate. We're funded under there with the community colleges. So I'm going to talk about just the portion that's related to K-12. So it's hard to make an accurate projection at this point. As you know, the governor delayed the tax filing deadline from April 15th to July 15th. So we still don't know the full impact to our state revenues yet, and we won't until July. That being said, we might have a budget revision in August from the state, which then would trigger us to then do what they call a 45-day revision to our budget as well for our school district. So we were going to be funded in January at $62 billion, and now they're projecting that that's going to be closer to $49 billion. So for K-12 schools, it's a reduction of 12 billion, which equates to about 20% less. So schools normally of the Prop 98 funding beginning in 2021, he is saying that, you know, it's a very complicated formula, and I won't go into all of that. And there's different tests that are triggered during the formula and the calculations that the state does. But he is saying that for 21-22, that schools will get the full 40% of the state general fund revenues, which of course still, I mean, it sounds good, but will still be down just because the revenues overall are down. And then regarding our local formula funding, our LCFF, as it's referred to, FCMAT, which is the Fiscal Crisis and Management Assistance Team, provides a calculator for school districts to use in order to calculate what we're going to have for our revenues for our base allocation and then our supplemental allocation. And if you're a school district that gets concentration, that's part of the calculation as well. In Vacaville, we only get base and supplemental. We still don't know exactly what the impact of the COLA will be. I'm estimating that it's going to be somewhere between a -7 and a -8. And this is the first time in the history of the LCFF calculation that it's actually triggered a negative COLA. So currently, I've been working on some projections, but I know that they're not completely accurate because on Friday, FCMAT, who creates the calculator, came out and said, it's not working right because it actually wasn't set up to handle a negative COLA. And so I have an idea in a ballpark, but I don't really know. And again, that COLA that we're estimating, that -7 to -8, is still also just an estimated projection. Because overall, I said that for K-12 schools, we'll take a 10% reduction. But how I think it's going to work is he was originally projecting a 2.31 COLA. And so I think he's going to take that then away from the 10. So it should net to around 7 to 8% negative COLA. So the only way that those cuts would be avoided or not happen is if the federal government does step in. And he talked at length about what that could look like via the HEROES Act that is currently moving through the legislature. Another thing that he talked about was deferrals. This is something that schools are used to in times like this. We went through this with the Great Recession, and the deferrals that they're talking about are cash deferrals. And so they're going to trigger them as early as our current year budget. So for 19-20, they're going to trigger 1.9 billion in deferrals in the current year. And they're going to postpone them just 1 month, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is because it crosses fiscal years. And so it's a delay, you know, it's not a cut, but it's a delay in the cash that we're actually going to receive. And so that will have an impact on our cash flow. So he's proposing a $1.9 billion cut in the current year, and then another 3.4 billion in next year for a total deferrals of 5.3 billion. And these strategies have been triggered before and they have been successful. So even though they're not a cut, they are a cash delay, which will impact our cash flow. And I still don't know the details of whether they will withhold our May apportionment or our June apportionment or both. And so for Vacaville, what that means is if they withhold our June apportionment, which is best case scenario, that's about $4.8 million of cash. If they withhold our June apportionment as well as our Education Protection Act funds, which are funds that we get through Proposition 55, which we only receive quarterly, so it's a larger payment, could end up being a total of $9.3 million. And if they also then defer our May payment, it's a total of $14.2 million in deferrals of cash just for Vacaville. So that gives you an idea of the impact that would have on us here locally. He did also talk about adding back some flexibilities, which was also done during the Great Recession. So he talked about we can lower our requirements for our routine restricted maintenance. So currently we have a requirement to set aside 3% of our total expenditures of the current year budget to routine restricted maintenance. And for us, that's about $8 million in Vacaville. And so we might be able to waive that requirement for next year, which would result in a savings. Another thing is that we can also borrow from ourselves, meaning because we have different funds within our school district, we could borrow funds maybe from developer fees to help fund the general fund for those temporary cash borrowing that we might have to do due to the deferrals. So that remains to be seen exactly on all the flexibilities that will come, but those are some that he spoke about today. Something that we have seen in the past is reducing the number of school days in the school year. He didn't mention that one yet. Another one is increasing class sizes. And I think we're holding off on those ones because none of those are good for students or teachers. So no one wants to see that happen, but it remains to be seen. Another cut that we'll have to take is in the area of our categorical funding. And for us here in Vacaville, that could mean an impact to our after-school career program, our ACES program, our Career Technical Education Incentive Grant program, as well as our adult education. Those are all funded off of categorical funding. Overall, for the state, it's about a 10% reduction. But he hasn't spoken, and it might be in the details that I just haven't had a chance to read and digest, is how much will impact each of those programs overall. In special education, in the May revise, they are taking back some other current year funds that they had allotted in January. So they had given us some one-time funds that were based on preschoolers with disabilities. And for us here in Vacaville, that was about $1.3 million in 1920, which we did have in budget at the second interim report. So we will be taking those revenues out since he did say that he will be pulling them back. There is a little bit of good news with special education though. He is proposing that schools still will receive $645 per pupil. In January, it was $666, but it's better than our current rate, which is $557 per pupil. And it's going to be based on a 3-year rolling average attendance allotted through the SELPAs, our local SELPA. And so we worked on a calculation. Thank you to Assistant Superintendent Vacaville for walking through that with me. And so for our local SELPA, we calculate that that will be a little under $1 million in new revenue. So that's good news. Also, some more good news with the STRS and PERS rates. Originally, in January, he had proposed $3.4 billion to go towards our long-term unfunded liability at the state level. And of that original 3.4, he's proposing redirecting the remaining $2.3 billion to lower the employer contribution rates for 2021 and 21-22. So, and they're quite substantial in their reductions. So for 2021, for the STRS rate, it was going to be 19.1%, and now he's proposing 16.15. And for us in Vacaville, that's about $400,000. And then for the PERS rate, which is our classified employees, originally it was 22.67%. Now he's proposing 20.7, and that's about $88,000 for us in Vacaville. So overall, that's a savings that we'll be able to realize due to that rate change of about $500,000 in 2021. And then he also proposes for the out year 21-22, and the combination of those rates combined would be a total savings of $400,000 for Vacaville. He is also proposing to help with the cuts by redirecting some additional funds from the state level. And some of those funds are the CARES funds, and he's talking about $4.4 billion that originally wasn't slotted for education, but he is proposing that it would go towards education. And the good part about that is they do appear to be somewhat unrestricted dollars and could be used for any purpose. Another pot of money that he's looking at redirecting towards education is $3.35 million of the federal government Emergency Education Relief Fund, otherwise known as the GEAR funds. Both of these, he's saying he would like to see school districts use to address the learning loss that was related due to the closures. I don't know exactly what the details will be of the restrictions on the funds, but I'm hoping they'll be fairly flexible. And he's talking about allotting those directly to the school districts. And it sounds like it will be based on an allocation that's very similar to how we receive our supplemental dollars to the LCFF calculation, and with a focus on those unduplicated students. So he also says he plans on fully using all of the reserves at the state level. So he has $16 billion currently in that Prop 31 rainy day fund that he refers to, and he talks about using that over the next 3 years towards the deficit to help offset that. Unfortunately for schools, not a lot of that is directed towards us. It usually works out to about 1%. So we'll see a little bit, but not a lot. The other reserve he talked about using was the safety net reserve, And in that fund, they have about a $900 billion balance. And he's talking about splitting that between the 2 years to help offset the general fund lost revenues. Another reserve that they have is for schools, and it is the Proposition 39 reserve. Currently, it has a $524 million balance, and that will all go towards schools to help offset some of the losses. And then also there's 2 other pots of money. Another 1.8 billion will come from just operating cost savings that they will realize and enact, as well as tax credits. And then there's another 1.6 billion that also is going to come from the CARES Act, which was allotted directly for schools. So that will help offset some of those reductions. And then I just wanted to talk briefly about what we are doing here at the local level here in Vacaville. So our child nutrition department started serving meals this week. We got the approval to be able to serve for the weekends as well as holidays. And so we can do this through the end of June, we know for sure. So what we're doing is we're handing out meals on Friday for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so the nice part about that is there is no additional cost for the labor because it's all prepared during the week and then handed out on Friday. And then the kids are able to eat over the weekend, and the community really is able to eat over the weekend, which is a really great benefit for our community. And the only additional cost to us is that food cost. But in working with Mr. Cardone, we figured out that we could generate about another $100,000 in just being able to count those additional meal counts. So originally, when I talked to you 2 weeks ago, we were estimating that we were going to have to make a contribution to child nutrition for about $569,000. And now, because of some way that he's changed what he's serving for the lunch times as well as the breakfast times, we're estimating closer to about $295,000 is the contribution the district will have to make to Fund 13 to support child nutrition. So that's a savings there. And then I already mentioned that we most likely will bring back a 45-day revision to you of our adopted budget, which we still do have to adopt before June 30th. Depending on what the state does because of those delayed tax revenues. Another decision that we made was our trust. We have a trust that we make contributions to for retirement for our unfunded pension liability. And we decided to hold on to that cash this year and not make the contribution in June like we normally would. And we believe that that will result in about a $1.4 million cash that we will be able to keep on hand rather than invest into the trust. Because cash will become very important with these deferrals that are coming up. So just to summarize, I feel like both the state and our district are in a really good fiscally place now before all of this hit, which will help us weather this storm. The other good news is the governor said that he had 4 core value areas, and one of them is education. So he is making education a priority. So that was really nice to hear as well. And then he is hoping, as we are too at the local level, that the federal government will go ahead and release another stimulus package, the HEROES Act. So we'll be keeping a close eye on where that's at with the legislatures and watching it move through and the conversations related around that. Because that is funding that I believe all states, not just California, will need. And then the May revision will be attending the workshop that School Services of California puts on May 19th, which is next Tuesday. To see if any other additional details have come out with the release of the detailed budget. So School Services does a great job summarizing everything, and we'll know for sure by then probably what the COLA will be. And again, I was estimating it'll be about -7 to -8, somewhere around there. Some other talks that I'm hoping they'll talk about at the May revise is how we'll be funded next year. Because as you know, for our base allocation, we're funded on our attendance. And not knowing exactly how we're going to come back to school next year, there's been talk of going to an enrollment-based calculation instead of an attendance-based calculation. So we'll keep our eyes open for what's happening around there. And then we're all in this together. I think that's the other thing that's just really important to remember. They're going to have to do something. All schools are needing assistance right now. And I think that message is being heard at both the state and the federal level. So thank you. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from board members on the budget before I go to the next update? Kelly, that was amazing. You just read all this today and you were able to synthesize it and give us some really good information. And there is some nuggets of good news there. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So next part of my update is an update on graduation. And, oh, did you have a question, Tracy?
Sorry, I raised my hand in the chat. I didn't.
Oh.
It would be better. And then I just accidentally messaged Kim instead of you. So I just was wondering on the COLA, is it that negative COLA is going to come off our ADA? So like our ADA will be reduced by the 20% plus the negative COLA, or some equation of that? Is that the general?
So I'm not exactly sure how much the COLA will be yet, but this is what I'm using to base my estimations on. So originally it came out with a 2.29% COLA in his January budget. And then the quarter closed and it actually increased, which I was surprised, but it went up to, not much, but it went up to 2.32%. So when the governor spoke today about a 10% reduction to our base LCF calculation, I think what that means is that he'll take the positive 2.31 and then subtract that from the negative 10. So I think that's where we'll land, is somewhere around a negative 7.7 COLA. So that means that we'll put in our ADA, or our attendance, into the calculator, and then it will take it times what they have for the per pupil rate, and then less the COLA. So that negative 7 will come off the top, calculated for the per pupil amount that we'll be funded for. And we don't know, that's what I was saying, we don't know if it'll be based on attendance or ADA, or if they'll hold us harmless for 1 year. So there's still a lot of unknowns on exactly how that will be calculated. Now that we are all doing distance learning and we don't actually calculate or record attendance, and we haven't since the end of January, I'm sorry, the end of February, because that was the last full month of attendance that we could claim before we closed our schools. And that was true across the whole state of California, not just here.
So you're so smart. The reason I asked is I want to just, like, the nitty gritty is we can predict for certain we're going to have less money per kid for next school year. So as we're talking, that everybody is on the same playing field. And then this reduction of, like, I don't know, up to 15 million in cash, how we're okay. I mean, let's say we didn't get any of that money. How much cash I don't remember. What's our cash on hand?
Well, it does vary from month to month. I can't pull up, April is the last full month that I have. I can grab that for you real quick.
I'm sorry to put you in the spot.
No, it's okay. I have it right here. Just let me pull it up. I looked at a lot of numbers today, so I just.
Yeah, I can imagine you're running.
So I just want to give you the right number. All right, so as of the end of April, in our general fund, so Fund 01, which is the fund that we're talking about in most cases, we have $22 million.
Okay.
In cash.
Okay, and I say that because it's really important for people as these conversations happen. They're going to get difficult. That it's not we've been super prudent, and we're faring so much better than many of our neighbors, and because of you and I just want to make sure that people understand that that's like a month and a half, right? If something goes wonky at the state.
Yeah.
So just to keep it real for people, that, like, it's significant. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, I shared the last presentation that our payroll is about $9.5 million a month.
Okay, thank you. No other questions on the budget update. Now, Elaine Kong, Director of Communications, is going to give an update on high school graduation plans.
Yes. Hello. Yes, can everybody hear me? Okay. Good evening, Superintendent Shamea, President Danson, and board members. So the week before Thanksgiving is when Thanksgiving, oh my goodness. But the week before spring break is when we really started gathering a group of people that we called our Parent-Student Advisory Group to try and make sure that we honor our students, the class of 2020, correctly. Before we had our first meeting, we sent out a survey to the seniors, kind of trying to gauge what they want, just because we didn't know how long this pandemic was going to last. So we sent out a survey and we got a pretty good numbers, and it was sent out to students, parents of seniors, and also community members. It was also posted on our social media. That way we just have a better gauge of what we really needed to look for to make sure that everybody felt like they were honored. And then we started our parent-student advisory group. So each one of our high schools had a parent-student advisory group, and they met individually. Kelly Birch and I were both on those meetings with them. The first meeting was really to gauge, what are some of the ideas, right? What can we really try to come up with creatively to make sure that our students have the best absolute, graduation on the field, Zanino Stadium, the Wilsey Wood Stadium as well, and the church that Buckingham holds their graduation. We wanted to really make sure that, they had that experience. And they came up with some really amazing ideas. They really just came together as STUCO representatives and also parents, and they researched, of what other states are doing, what other districts are doing in other states. And we brought all those ideas together, and we thought, all these ideas are so wonderful, but what is truly going to honor all of our seniors? And we actually have two of the seniors that are in the group today here. Paris Wu is here, as well as Bree Marshall. They were two of the STUCO representatives from Wilsey Wood, who really spoke about how, all these creative ideas are wonderful, but we really want to graduate on the field. We really want to make sure that we are on the field with our classmates because, that's what we've been looking forward to. And Associate Superintendent Ed Sanapadre said it best, it's much more of just than being able to graduate on a field. It's a date that they've been looking forward to for 4 years plus. So we really wanted to honor that. And by honoring that, Sandy, I see you, and I listened to your speech, and it made me tear up because, that's exactly what we want to do is we want to honor those seniors, and we really want to make sure that they feel heard. And that's how I made sure, Kelly Birch and I made sure that the students were the ones that had their voices heard the most in those groups because, it's not me that's graduating, it's them. They're the ones that have to ultimately graduate and be on the field or not be on the field. So we sent out a letter, President Jansen, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen of that parent letter that kind of goes over everything that we are trying to do for our seniors. And this really was a big effort amongst our STUCO representatives from all of our schools. So what you're looking at right now is the parent letter that went out yesterday. And this letter, before this letter went out, we sent out another student survey, kind of gauging what they really wanted, because now we really know, because of Governor Newsom's plan, that we have to, if we want to physical in-person graduation, we have to wait till phase 3 and phase 4. And unfortunately, that's not going to be on the day of actual graduation. For Buckingham, that's June 5th. For Wilsey Wood, that's June 5th later on in that day. And then for Vacaville High School, it's June 6th. So we thought, what can we do to honor that day if we are not allowed by law to have something in person? And we had great suggestions from parents and students and administrators. We finally concluded with having a virtual graduation on the day of graduation, just to honor the day and make sure that they have something to look at on that day. And then we said, that's not enough though. We also want to make sure that we have something on the field for our graduates, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And you're probably thinking, okay, well, when are we going to do that? And to be honest, we don't know the answer to that. And I just really want to thank Tracy Stacy in this moment because she came to the parent advisory group the day before yesterday. And the parents were saying, why can't we just have, one graduate on the field with their family members and, they individually take a photo and then you put it all together in a video and that's what you play. And the students all said exactly the same thing that they've been saying this whole entire time is, that's not what we want. We want an in-person graduation, and we want it with our classmates there on the field where we imagined it. And Tracy Stacy actually just really stood up for those students and said, maybe we really should listen to them since they're the ones that have to graduate. They're the ones that have to live with this decision. So if you go to the second page, President Jansen, of that article, of the paper, yep, you're right there. We have a list of dates where it says, see the dates, click on the high school names below. We don't have to click on it right now, but all 3 of the high schools came together as two co-representatives that said, these are the dates that we want. We don't want dates that are in the future that are unknown, right? So they came up with a list of dates. Some of them are 4 dates, some of them are 5 dates of when they really want to have them, either in late summer or in the fall semester. After they announced, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that CSUs are no longer going to be in person for classes, the students decided, maybe we should consider something in the fall because we still might be at home. And another really good point that Paris Wu actually elaborated on in our parent-student advisory group is that, she said, I'm going to college and a lot of my friends are going to college, but there's a lot of students that are graduating with me that this is going to be their one and only graduation. I would much rather wait to have something in person with them because this might be their only opportunity, but I'm going to have, undergraduate or possibly also, graduate school to be able to walk, So they really wanted to make sure that they included all the students in their decision with that. And that's why we came up with that 2-part plan to really honor the day and then also honor those students as a whole. I know it's really upsetting that we don't know the date, but it really does depend on the governor and when he decides that we're going to move into phase 3 or 4 of his plan. I know Paris Wu and Bree Marshall from Will See Wood are here as well. So board members, if you had any questions for them, they're also here to answer them. And I'm sure Kelly Birch is here as well to answer any questions.
Kelly Birch, did you want to add anything to that?
Thank you. I just really wanted to say, on the process, I was so impressed. As a parent whose daughter graduated last year, I know firsthand in the present of what that felt like. And we're in a tough situation. It's not fun. It's not fair. And the parents and the students came together at their school, came together with other schools, and really worked together to find the best thing they could for the kids. And the kids did an amazing job of speaking out for what they wanted and really standing up for their peers. And so I really appreciate them and the process that they took. Elaine did such a great job of getting that all organized and put together and everything. It's not ideal. It is not what we want, but I think it's the best way that we can honor all of our graduates and really show them that they've worked hard, and we know that. So I'm proud of the plan that we've come up with. I know a lot of districts have just said, nope, no graduation, sorry, here you go. And that's not Vacaville. That's not how we do things. So I'm really proud of that process.
Board members, do you have any specific questions for Elaine or Kelly or the students for that matter?
I just want to say thank you because Bree and Paris are here, but those young ladies and Nick, very much just what Kelly said, were like not having the adults' impatience or like desire to just make it like convenient. And they were not having it, and they were super frustrated but super classy. Like you could just see that they were losing it. But so thank you, Elaine, because I did kind of pipe up and be like, they've said it over and over again, guys. Like I think they're not changing their mind. So good job, Bree and Paris and Elaine. But it was really a cool process to see everybody together. So
any other questions from Michael Silva?
Thank you everybody for putting so much time into it. I know it's a heavy, heavy burden that's been on everybody's mind since this happened. I think that actually at first did the Mrs. Marshall or Miss Wu, did you guys want to add anything?
I'm good. I just want to thank you guys for listening to our concerns and just trying to make the best of the situation. We appreciate you guys' efforts, and I'm just hoping everything kind of works out. So yeah.
I agree with her. Kind of on the same page.
Cool. Thank you. And then just one follow-up question. Was there the other high schools or the other graduating classes? Are they planning something as well, or?
Sure. So Kimmy had decided and talked to their parents because they're mostly an online Most of their schooling is online. They decided that they were going to do a virtual graduation that really fit with their school. So they'll be doing a virtual graduation. Country High has been following what Vacaville High School does. They've been paying attention to that because they generally share that venue with Vaca High for cost savings. And as those things have come up, Country High has actually decided they want to wait until a little further out so that they can graduate more students. They have students who are going to be finishing up in summer, and they want to wait until they can include all of those in their graduation.
How about adult ed?
So I am supposed to have a conversation tomorrow with Tiffany. She has had her own parent group, well, actually graduate group, kind of come together to decide what they wanted as well. And she's going to share that with me tomorrow.
Okay, and then we'll let the board know. I know we love that adult ed graduation. That's always
fun group. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cherie.
Hey, I'm going mom mode just for a second. Bree and Paris, I have known for a very long time, since Cooper. And I just have to tell you both, I am so proud of you, and I would get to hear back after the meetings. And you are two powerful, strong young ladies, and I just could not be more proud of the both of you. And all of the students in the district are blessed because you guys were part of this, and you fought to make voices heard and for the right thing to happen. And so I could not be more proud of both of you. I just had to take a second to say that.
I don't have any more to report unless there's any other questions regarding graduation from board members. Other than that, that concludes my superintendent's report.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any other questions from the board members before we move on? Seeing none. Okay. Time for board member comments and correspondence. Cherie, then Michael.
Okay. I will be short. So Wilsey Wood passed out. It was time to go pick up your gown and your cap. And so I got to go with my daughter to do that. And sorry. Our staff is the most amazing group of people I have ever. They love our kids so well. We waited in line to get through Wilsey Wood, and the teachers had decorated their cars and put out balloons. And as the kids pulled up, they took a megaphone and called out their name, and everybody cheered. And my daughter felt loved and seen, and it was one of the most touching things I've gotten to do in a long. There's been a lot of loss around COVID and the changes that have impacted all of us. And so to have that moment of celebration with her in the car as we drove through was precious, and I just didn't want to not recognize it. And Mr. Rich, thank you for just your love for the kids was just so evident. So I just could not say more just from the mom perspective. I love Wood. As a school board member, I'm beyond proud of our schools and our staff and the way that they're loving our kids.
Is that all, Ms. Cherie? Nice job. All right, Michael.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great story, Cherie. I appreciate that. And you know, I just feel, you know, I'm every day I still go into work, and I work at Salado County Mental Health, and I just really want us to remember the degree of pressure and suffering that our kids, you know, high school kids, elementary kids who, you know, have all this energy and can't get out, and they're in their homes, they can't see their friends. High school kids who, you know, I have a high school kid, and, you know, especially high school kids who aren't like extremely gregarious and don't necessarily, you know, have great times with FaceTime and social media. And it's very, very isolating. And there are a lot, and, you know, I don't know if any of, you know, you two students want to talk about it, but just in general, I bet everybody knows people that are really suffering. And I think, you know, the graduation talk's very important. And let's just not forget, every day our students are suffering. And I appreciate our abilities and our attempts to get together with them and to talk to them and to reach out to them. And I thank everybody for doing that. But it's really, really hard for a lot of kids. That's all.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. Tracy.
I have a couple things. So I just want to say that on Tuesday, I attended virtually the Board of Supervisor meeting for Solano County. And I thought, I don't know if she's on this call or not, but I have never met her, but Amanda Moe was in the audience, and she put in a public comment card. She's a freshman in our district, and was so eloquent and was wonderful to just express what Mr. Kitches just shared, is that don't forget us, please honor our education. You know, you guys want to go back to work, we want to go to school. And it was just really cool to see a Vaca High student show up at the county. I thought that was fantastic. I want to make a couple requests for the next board meeting. I'm hoping that we can talk about, I know there's a lot of work going on in the district, and there's so many moving parts, and so there's so many people doing so much learning right now to figure out what next school year looks like. So I'd love to put that on our next agenda for us to discuss, get an update, discuss as a board, if the rest of the board would agree. And then I'd also like to ask, I have to eat a little bit of crow, because yesterday I was not very happy with the whole, I didn't really believe that the governor valued education like we would want the state to. And so the silver lining is today he publicly put himself on notice that he is going to keep us in the top 4 priorities. So if that all comes to fruition, fantastic. But I feel like it's a good time to be good examples of strong advocacy. And we have a strong team on our board, and we're diverse. And I think by the time we get to the end of our decisions, we have really thoughtful decisions because of our diversity and even sometimes disagreements. And so on a really just nonpartisan level, I'm hoping that we can either talk about having a committee or an advocacy strategy, like a legislative strategy to advocate at the state level to protect school funding. And to really have a voice to partner with a VTA, to partner with CSBA outside of, Michael Silva does a great job, but like as a board unified, being able to send letters, being able to advocate, and maybe put that on the agenda to flesh out if you also agree. So the only other thing is, don't kill me, Ed, but the survey that we took today broke my heart a little bit. I was a little disappointed, which is part of the reason why I think we need to talk about next fall and opening. But things are changing. So I'm hoping that, Jane, maybe we can revisit the survey, and as things change, maybe do another one. Like just as this is an initial. So yeah, I hope that was the positive way to say, I hope we do another survey. So thank you.
Yes, we can do that, especially if circumstances change. Absolutely.
How does the board feel? Can someone speak up about those two things though? This idea of our like one voice advocacy and, nonpartisan stuff just to protect school funding, and then putting this on the agenda next time? Or do I just get to ask and it's there?
I believe you get to ask, it goes through the process, and we typically move forward with those, especially when they're school district items. So
okay, thank you.
Can I just add that we do have a planning committee that has 4 different possible scenarios, and they've been working incredibly hard. And I've already asked them to come on May 28th at the next board meeting and give an update, and also to share the results of the parent survey. So that's pretty much the issue I think you're talking about. That is an item where we'll be talking about plans for next year.
And can we include then just kind of like our barometer or questions, that kind of stuff? Yeah.
It'll be open for board discussion as always.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, just double checking, Mrs. Daly, do you have anything? Fantastic. Mike, it looks like you got your hand up.
Yeah, so just a couple notes. Actually, maybe I'll actually kind of directly relates to what Tracy was mentioning. So just a couple things. This Saturday is a CSBA delegate assembly meeting. There's only one item on there. Actually talked to John about it. I know in the past I said let's talk about it as a group. But I'll just one of the things they're going to talk about is whether or not CSBA would endorse schools and communities first. So if anybody would like to, give me their input, not now, but maybe personally, if that's appropriate, I'm more than happy to, but I'll report back, and so I'll leave that there. On May 22nd, I had an email today from CSBA on there will be another meeting for delegate assembly members to give input on how and what they want, not necessarily how, but what they want CSBA to advocate for. So there's like 10 different items. I can only select 2 out of the 10. So I put number 1 on there was financing, and the second I put 4 other ones. So we'll see where they put me at. But basically what I'll do with that email is I'll forward it to you all. And again, if maybe it comes through the district as far as what exactly we what our district needs to communicate. But also, of course, that's a serving board members. So what we as board members wanted to serve as, or serve what you guys want to help communicate through that forum, and I'd be happy to pass that on. So the other thing was about so the other thing that Tracy mentioned was of course, if I think announcing the results of the surveys is appropriate. I took it today. I actually had my 10-year-old, so I have 2 kids in the district. So I had my 10-year-old. I'm like, hey, what do you, I went through them. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm like, nah, I don't think I'm gonna do good in that. I don't think, so I don't want to put my influence on that, but I just really wanted to make sure that that his voice was represented in that. For me personally, I appreciate the survey. It's very difficult to make surveys. That's one of the things in one of the classes I actually teach, and it's difficult to make a perfect survey to get exactly what everybody wants to communicate. So I know they put a other box in there, and I'm sure folks fill that in if they needed to. So I just want to appreciate, again, the effort that went into that survey and making sure we get feedback from the public where we're at and how we best move forward to make sure our kids, again, get the education they need while keeping everyone safe. So the other thing is that it's kind of coming up is so like right now, so I'm a professor at the college, and we're very mindful in knowing that that there's a lot of uncertainties as far as the incoming class, and this is not just at the community college level; it's across all universities. And but I would say, any students out there that are worried how they're going to do in college, I will say across the board, faculty, universities, they're very understanding and open to that. And there's a lot more different options out there, but essentially you have this huge academic field that is focused on really trying to do the best that they can with what they can to set you up to succeed. So I wanted to address that. It's been very challenging. So I'm putting in long or early mornings, long nights, because a lot of planning has been going into planning for the future when a lot of us are still trying to survive right now as educators. So and obviously administrators. Anyway, so I think I don't know the level of the feedback, Tracy, that you wanted, but I think I had this conversation with someone else, and I just kind of echo this, that I was like, man, I wish we could just focus on getting through this year, regroup, take a breath, through the summer, and come up with that plan, for the fall, again, within the different confinements. So, and that's all. Thank you, guys.
All right, Miss Tracy, you said you had one more item that was very quick. I will hold you to that.
Okay, so we have so many people. I mean, this is a huge board meeting. There's 71 people hanging out together on Zoom tonight. Super cool. We can't see you all, and I don't know, that's a lot of people. So I just wanted to say, I can't speak for the rest of the board, but lots of emails have come in and lots of work and thought and appreciation for participating and sharing your comments and your ideas and your thoughts with us. So just know that everybody is very present and understands we've got a lot to think about. So thank you for sending those emails. And if you have questions, open door policy. You can ask any one of us, call Jane. We appreciate you being part of the process. So I just don't want people to, it's a long meeting and there's a lot of people here. So hopefully you're learning something good.
Are you done?
Oh, yes, I'm done.
I'm just double checking to see if you're going to extend this meeting out any longer.
Woo!
With
Okay,
that,
done.
Mr. Wyndham, you are next.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple things. With regard to Mrs. Stacy's comment about legislative advocacy, I appreciate CSBA's advocacy at the state level, and not to take away from them, but every district is unique, and I think it's really critical that we maybe start looking at developing our own more formal process for advocating for our local district and the needs that we have here. So I think that's really a great idea, and I hope to see that move forward. I just want to say, like Mr. Kitts has said, this has really been difficult on students, obviously, and my heart goes out to the graduating class, because this is a lot to take in, a lot to process, and just a lot of uncertainty. But I also want to acknowledge parents, and today is one of the few times that I've gotten a lot of feedback very quickly when that survey went out. And not to knock the survey, but I do think that it really, the impression that it gave was that, hey, we're already deciding we're going to, all but shut down and, kind of lock down. And I think it is really early to make that determination. And I recognize that we're looking at all possibilities and all eventualities, but I think it's just really important for people to understand that, hey, if things change for the better, and quite honestly, when you look at the numbers in our local area, they're not anything like they are in places like New York and other places. And hopefully that continues. And we need to be diligent to ensure that continues. But at the same time, we need to be looking at that data real time. And so, and I know that Superintendent Shamea and staff is doing that. So for any parents out there that might be watching or might watch us, tune into this later on, I want you to know, at least from my perspective, nothing has been decided. These are all just plans of what if, eventualities that, if things get worse or things improve. Our hope is that students come back and that we can let our educators and our staff do what they do best, and that is just love on kids and educate students and provide the best possible space for them to really grow into really strong adults. So, just know that survey isn't none of it's a done deal. So I want to put that out there. The other thing I want to share with people, and I think this has been mentioned before, but it's really important for people to understand this. It's very hard sometimes for us because you hear things from the governor's office on these daily briefings that he puts out there. And quite honestly, when he's talking about education, a lot of the stuff that he puts out there, the first time we hear it is the same time as the first time you hear it as well. We don't get any advanced notice or knowledge that he's coming out with. Maybe schools will start in July, or maybe this or maybe that. So just know that on a local level, we are still making decisions, and our staff is still making decisions. And even though the governor has some ideas, those are not set in stone any more than some of the survey ideas. So so I just want people to know that things are not being decided at this point, and minds are still open. Keep the emails and feedback coming, because it's really important, because I know that a lot of you that I've talked to, and especially today, but in the last couple of days, are really, really focused and concerned about, hey, when are we going to get back, and when are we going to start, get back to some degree of normalcy? So just know that that's what we all want to. That's what we're working toward, and there's still, all options are still open at this point. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. With that, we'll be moving on to item 14, Student Board Representative Reports. We'll start with Buckingham. Is there anybody from Buckingham Charter Magnet School that will be providing a report tonight? Long and comfortable pause. Okay, and if you're there and you need to pop in later, you can do that. Vacaville High School. Do we have a student rep from Vacaville High? All right, then we'll move on to Wilsey Wood. Anybody from?
Yeah, hello.
Hey there.
Hi. Sorry. I felt my heart rate get faster as like no other student
Your
was
name
talking
was
to me.
getting closer. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I was supposed to have people before me, but it's okay.
Good evening, Ryan.
everyone. So my name is Ryan, for those of you who don't know, because I saw there's a lot more people than normal. So good evening, hello. Wilsey Wood has continued chugging along, and we have accomplished quite a few things since our last meeting. We have started selling our senior jerseys to all the juniors, and we're excited to announce that every purchase of a senior jersey comes with a free $390 senior portrait photo shoot. The company we go through gave us a really cool deal, and it's amazing, and we were so excited. You should have seen like the whole junior class. Like we all went crazy. We have also switched our selling process to Google Forms and other virtual forms of payment to help keep things as smooth sailing as possible, and all, virtual and within distance. So, and because ASB can't put up posters, we decided to just post instead. We have taken to Instagram to post as much as possible. We have senior recognition, sports recognition, general student recognition, teacher recognition, AP test motivation, mental health tips and support, upcoming event notifications, virtual spirit days, virtual trivia, and just general positivity posts. We are trying to pepper social media with as much good news and happiness as possible during this difficult time. And it's really cool to see our following account grow with other students and actually schools from other areas, just to like kind of learn and look and take ideas. On May 21st to the 23rd, our theater program will be putting up their spring comedy, 10 Ways to Survive Life in Quarantine. It is a newly written play due to today's situations and is all filmed on Zoom. Performances can be viewed from both Facebook and YouTube Live at 7 p.m. each night, and I've heard that it's absolutely amazing. There's some teachers hidden in there as well, so definitely check that out. And lastly, in exciting news, Miss Malberg kind of already hit on it. The seniors drove by Wilsey Wood to pick up their caps and gowns. Teachers and staff members were lining the sidewalk, all spread out apart, decked out in spirit gear, holding signs, and cheering as things were getting passed out. Some teachers even built a balloon arch and put it in the front of the school, just something that we usually do to kind of bring that feeling back. It was amazing to see their smiling faces. It was all over social media, and I'm absolutely positive it helped spread more smiles. And that's about it. Thank you for letting me speak, and I hope you guys have a good evening.
Great, nice job, Rand. Thank you very much. Item 15, do we have anybody from either VTA or from SCIU that would like to speak this evening? Okay. And hearing none, we'll move on to staff reports and presentations. Jane, did you want to introduce these, or do you want me to?
Why don't you do it?
Fantastic. 16A, distance learning update. Ed Services Director Kelly Birch and Ryan Gals will provide an update on the success and challenges of the district's distance learning program with some guest speakers as well. So take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan, and I'm Director of Elementary Education. I'm going to kick us off and introduce our presentation. We started distance learning, not really by choice, and it's been like, building the airplane while we've been flying it. But we've adapted, we've learned, we've innovated. We've also encountered some challenges along the way, which we'll discuss. Kelly and I knew that it'd be one thing for us to present, but we also thought it would be so much more powerful for our principals to give voices to their experiences. So we have invited Colleen Moe, who's principal of Vacaville, Adam Rich, principal of Wilsey Wood, Greg Moffett, who's principal of Fairmont Charter, and Kathy Bazzini, who is principal of Sierra Vista K-8 school. And I'll turn it over to Kelly to take the next slide.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. So President Jansen, if you could forward that to the next slide for us, please. Thank you so much. So,
I'll get you. Keep going.
okay, so we had, as we've been looking at the distance learning plan, we've really come up with some priorities that we felt, regardless of what we do, how we start to move forward and the changes that we make, these priorities were pretty unnegotiable. And that is really, we've felt that this connection, to really continue to have a connection with our kids, their families, and the staff. And so finding different ways to keep those connections going. I had the opportunity to help at Markham when we first started serving the meals, and just to see the ladies in the cafeteria and the connection that the students had with them, and just even that little bit of time that they got is so important. Really needing to be able to provide support. And Ryan and I have really been looking at how, there's so many different ways we need to provide support to our students, to their families, to our teachers, to our counselors. They all need support. This is new for everybody. And so what does that look like? As Mr. Kitts has said, we're really looking at how can we support the whole child. So looking not just at academic needs, but their social emotional needs as well. And so I know, that our counselors have been reaching out to students, which is hard for them. They're used to seeing those students face to face when they have issues with them. Our mental health clinicians have been reaching out to our students. Really, that's been a priority for us. In times of crisis, we know that children need and crave to have structure. And so it's been really difficult to provide that structure and that routine because we don't have students sitting in front of us. And so really trying to structure those lessons with students in a way that they're used to having has been difficult, but it's a priority for us, knowing that we don't want to change things up too much and really put them into a tailspin. And the biggest thing we've learned through all of this is to be flexible. Every day it changes. Every day something is different. And what works for us and our family doesn't necessarily work for someone else and their family. And so really being flexible with them and understanding that families are dealing with things differently and at different levels, and they have lots of different things that they're trying to deal with, not just education, that education isn't necessarily the priority right now. And so we need to be flexible in understanding that and working with those families to support them the most. So at this time, if you could, there we go. So at this time, I'd like to introduce one more slide would be great. Thank you so much. So we're going to talk a little bit about our secondary successes. And at this time, I believe it's Colleen Moe. Am I right?
Yes.
Perfect. So Colleen Moe is going to talk about some successes.
Great. Good evening, everyone. I think we have had a lot of successes. And before I get into all of these that are on the board, one that was left off, in my opinion, is the support from educational services. We could not do what we are doing at the site level without everyone being together and helping us, from the coordinators down. It's just been really, really supportive. So kicking it off, our parents. Our parents have been so supportive. This is a new world for them, with the fact that they have stepped into the role of providing those lessons to our students. They are emailing us, they're giving us a lot of good feedback, and most importantly, they really appreciate our teachers and our community. Our PLCs, our professional learning communities, they're joining together. They determined the essential standards that we needed for that fourth quarter at the secondary level, the third trimester at the elementary level. And they have worked collaboratively to create those lessons that they are pushing out to the students. Our teachers, they have been phenomenal. They have really, really gone outside of their comfort zone. They have, for some teachers who have never approached a Google Classroom, they are now in the Google Classroom, and that's supported by our tech department as well. But they are using those online platforms to help create different ways to communicate that content out to our students. And also our support staff, couldn't do it without them. They are there welcoming the students. At Vacaville, we have one of the meal pickup sites, and they have been there whether they are our campus monitors or they're a campus monitor from one of the other schools. They welcome the families, they welcome the kids, they give them that sense of community when they're there to pick up their breakfast and lunch. And then also just the site support staff as far as helping to manage the work packets for the families who have chosen either not to do online learning or to do a hybrid. We do have some families with that. The administrative teams have been excellent in working together to kind of get the job done. You know, what's working for you, sharing those ideas to help roll this out really quickly. It's been really, really supportive together. And then the Chromebooks. Can't say enough about our tech department. They are amazing. When I spoke with Wyatt on Wednesday, he let me know that they had hit the 5,000 mark for distributing Chromebooks. And that's just unbelievable to me. And they do it so well. And not only are they taking that on, but they're supporting us in helping our families get online. So the tech department has been outstanding. Again, going back to kind of some of the platforms that are being used, Google Classroom, Remind, Kahoot, Khan Academy, all of those that some of our staff may have been familiar with, but now they're really getting familiar with them. And it's been almost like I don't want to say re-energizing for the teams to work together, but in a way, just in the department meetings I've sat in, it has been. The sites have taken on a big undertaking with the work packet. Like I said, whatever is being offered online to our students, we try to mirror that in the paper format at the secondary level, but also at our elementary level. You know, our kindergartners may not know how to get into a Google Classroom, and they're finding a system that works best for them and putting in a lot of time and effort. And the biggest thing is giving our students the biggest shout out, because they are showing that resiliency that we want for them, the empathy, the compassion. I loved hearing about how they came together to create that graduation idea and stuff and to provide their voice. So our students are really going to look back at this time in history and realize that they did it. They did it. So that's really cool. So now I'm going to turn it over to Principal Adam Rich, and he's going to talk about some of our challenges.
All right, thanks, Colleen. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us talk tonight again, Ryan and Kelly. This has been a period of great challenge, but you know, I think it was Tracy who said before, great learning is taking place too, but those always look like big challenges when we start any kind of a new process. Some of the things that we've encountered, getting this off the ground and rolling it out so fast, it did take some time to make sure that we had all of our teachers in our departments on the same page with weekly learning plans, really taking an asynchronous approach, you know, versus a synchronous real-time classroom approach, but making sure everybody understood what was the right amount, what was the right volume of work, and how to best support kids with that each week. You know, we started off, you know, having fewer kids participate than we are now, and that was a big concern for us. So working with our classified staffs to get those phone calls made, to collect that information about who was doing work and who wasn't, and reaching out to students and really trying to get to the heart of why that was happening and why it's still happening in some cases. This one's a really big one, just the struggle that students have without that in-person connection. That is why we do what we do. It's because we love being with students, you know, in real time, working together, especially in subjects that are challenging like math. Students have found that to be a struggle. And so our staff has responded in kind by making sure that we're, you know, going back to the first bullet point and making sure our lesson plans are appropriate for that work that students are doing on their own. It's no doubt that IEPs have been more challenging, getting our folks to be online, holding those remotely, whether it's teleconference or whether it's Zoom IEPs. We've had a lot of parents and a lot of teachers just really be super flexible and learn new things to make sure those meetings can happen. But it has been a challenge. You know, there's a lot of meetings that were supposed to happen that didn't during the first part of the closure. And so teachers are catching up from those and making sure that they can get ahead of that. So that's been tough. Truthfully, as Colleen said, our teachers were versed in some of the technology, but to really think about what their theoretical or instructional approach was to distance learning, that's something our teachers have really had to sort of learn on the fly. What does it mean to be synchronous versus asynchronous? What's really reasonable for students to be able to do at home in that unsupported learning environment sometimes where maybe there isn't a parent there to help out. Our teachers are doing a really great job and trying to find that balance. But again, it's been a few weeks. We do have some assignments completed now, so they're still working to find that, especially with the students who have less support. We're worried that this current model could widen some of those gaps for students who don't have that parent support at home. I know it takes my wife and I, definitely tag teaming in the morning to get all 3 of our kids on their distance learning. And we think about those students who don't have that support at home, and we're worried about some of those gaps that might be forming. We're making a lot of packets. We've kind of got our students who come and get those packets identified versus the students who are really doing it all online. But getting those packets then back into the school, making sure that we're scanning some of those for the teachers who don't live in town, or for teachers who aren't comfortable picking up that work physically but want that work scanned to them and emailed to them so they can do the grading and make sure their students are getting credit. That's a big logistical challenge for us to make sure that we're doing, and to make sure those teachers are aware that the packets that went home are getting done. It's a much longer turnaround time than, say, turning in something on Google. And last but not least, this is something that we saw yesterday when we handed out the caps and gowns. We miss each other. Having a student, there with you, talking about an issue, working stuff out, that's why we do this work. And we all just desperately miss that social aspect. There were a lot of emotions yesterday just because we haven't been together. And that's why we do this work. And so that's a huge challenge that we're all still facing, which kind of underscores what Michael was saying, keeping those connections with our kids and with our staff too, having our staff connect. I know one of our teachers started just like, check into Zoom if you have your coffee and just, come in and 8:30 in the morning and let's just chat for a minute to sort of support each other. So those kinds of opportunities are super important to keep going. And with that, I'm going to pass it along, I believe, to, is it Kathy or is it Greg next?
It's me.
Okay, sorry about that, Kathy.
So before we talk about overall the elementary side of it, we were asked to talk about our individual sites. And so at Sierra Vista, we found these specific distance learning positive discoveries. And one of them was just the new opportunities that we have seen as positive, and that is that teachers and students are learning new technology. It was amazing to see our kindergartners learn Google Classroom, but it's also amazing to see our kindergarten teachers learn Google Classroom. And they are finding that they have the ability to differentiate instruction, and small group instruction is available online, and they're doing that. We're learning more about our students. There's some hidden talents there from home that we can see, and it's really creating some really great bonds with our students and our teachers. We're also finding that our quiet students now have a voice, which is awesome. Our teachers are taking students on virtual field trips to amazing places. And one teacher even said, I didn't even think about doing this in the classroom. We always think about how to take kids out of the school, and it's challenging because of the cost, but she says, now I'm taking them to, museums in New York City. It's just amazing. So they find that that's been a positive. The other part they talked about was students are being more empathetic and supportive of each other. And this is specifically in the middle school Zoom meetings, that they're being more encouraging, or on Google Classroom that they're being more encouraging, because they know that they're trying to support each other and lift each other up. So that has been great. The other part is that we're seeing that there's better communication with our families, because it's more two-way communication. Sometimes it's only one way, and it's really hard to engage that. But in this, there's we have to create these partnerships, and it's strengthening our partnerships with. And then for the flip side of that, though, there's some also challenges. And as many have said already, it's that social emotional need. It's hard to support their needs, of students and staff from a distance, because isolation is detrimental to everyone, and families are struggling financially to pay bills. And all of these, challenges are affecting some of our students' ability to participate and engage in schoolwork. So it's really hard to support our students who sometimes need the support the most from the distance. And those are some of the challenges that we are seeing. And next I want to introduce Greg Moffett, principal at Fairmont Charter School.
Thanks, Kathy, and thanks everyone for the opportunity to be here. It is not what I thought my first presentation in front of the school board in Vacaville would be like, but it is such an important conversation to be having. So over at Fairmont, this is just a snapshot of what we've been doing, but we discovered pretty quickly that connection was something that was really important and really powerful. So we have a YouTube channel, and we have a Facebook channel, and we have, a Twitter channel, and those opportunities to connect with families virtually in that digital space has been really important and given us a chance to do morning announcements every morning. Our library tech came on board the week before school closed, and she has a YouTube channel, and she is reading stories to students, and our teachers felt very strongly that they needed to show their faces to our students and show them that they were okay and that things would be okay. So putting together social media videos, having virtual spirit weeks, getting a chance for our Falcon families to connect with us has been really, really important. And that might not seem like all that much focus on academic, but those connections are really what is getting us through. We've also been able to utilize digital platforms to get feedback from parents. We have a check-in form where folks can let us know how they're doing on an ongoing basis. And that has really given us some information of which students need a phone call or an email or a check-in or someone to deliver food to them. So that's a photo of our school counselor and her food delivery crew, and she's delivering food every weekend to families at our school that don't have a way to get it to them. One of the things that the surveys have also shown us was that reading is something that's really important and that families are really concerned about, and making sure that they have books and materials in their hand to read. So that's a photo of our little lending library that we set up in front of Fairmont. It is nothing fancy. We didn't build a single thing. It's a table and some boxes of books, but they're free for kids to take. We also realized that kids need a chance to check in on their reading. So our intervention team and the intervention teachers throughout the district have been really incredible using Zoom and other virtual spaces to meet with kids, to listen to them read. We have a Zoom reading room that is open every day, and kids can come and read their books to us. And it's happening at other school sites as well. So yes, as Kathy and the other administrators have said so far, there's been some really incredible high-tech innovation, but there's also been a really important focus on having no tech. So packets are out there and available as well. We need and feel really strongly about meeting families where they are and making sure that they get the things that they need, whether they have a device or don't have a device. There have definitely been challenges, as others have said, and I think the biggest one that we have all realized is that everyone is experiencing this situation differently, and it is a situation that is ever changing, and that creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and so talking with parents and talking with staff, letting folks know that we will get through this, and we will get through it together, and that what we are doing is pretty incredible. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see some information from the other elementary school sites. We talk to our elementary colleagues almost once a week. We are collaborating and working together, and we're seeing that communication and connecting with families is something that's been an incredibly important thing at all of our school sites. We've been able to utilize a number of communication platforms. Our students are pretty resilient, and they are showing great effort and perseverance. They are really amazing us with how hard they are working despite all that is going on around them. As folks have said, elementary sites have really been able to try some new things and do things differently, teach content in different ways, provide some project-based learning opportunities, and that's been exciting to see. If you go to the next slide, the successes continue, where we've also been able to utilize that technology to really provide some small group instruction, meeting with kids in small groups or even one at a time to try new things, hear kids talk, give them a voice. And we have been so thankful for the support of families in the Vacaville community that have become true partners and great collaborators, sharing ideas, letting us know what's going on, what's working, what isn't working, so that we can troubleshoot on the fly. There's another page because there's really a lot to appreciate and to celebrate and to be thankful for. It's been said before, but we should say it every chance that we can. The technology team has been incredible. Every single student that has requested a Chromebook has gotten one. And it's been a wonderful thing to see. The positive outlooks, the we can do it attitude is also something that has really kept us all going at the elementary level. And the simple fact that there have been so many great resources shared. Yes, online and in virtual formats, but from the folks and staff who have been collaborating and helping us out, from ed services to grade level teams. These resources were available before schools closed, and we have been learning just how powerful they are. So I'm going to turn it back to Kathy to talk about some of the challenges because there have been challenges as well.
Yeah, so in our elementary challenges, with most things, when there's so many great resources, there's also so many new learning curves and everything else that you have to figure out how to use these resources and how to use them effectively. And as you know, our world turned upside down on March 13th. So it's been a challenge to learn everything. Students also are having trouble with access, with families who don't have the wireless internet access. But there's also times, and I'm sure you have all experienced that, is that the reliability of our access, even online, because with so many people online now, that there are times it's slow or we're not able to connect. We also haven't made 100% contact with all families, and I say that with that we haven't made 100%, but I would say it's really close to almost 100%, because even the ones that we've been making visits to their homes to make sure that are they okay, and but still not having 100% contact is challenging. Parents, oh my gosh, we need to give it up to our parents who became homeschool teachers overnight, but they also have to learn new technology and new programs, and that's a challenge, because we didn't get a chance to train them. Also, live teaching through Zoom, as you all have probably seen all the videos and the funny videos out there, but that's challenging. There's so many distractions at home. How many times do the pet comes in the picture, or it's hard when you have distractions and you're with a kindergartner on Zoom. You can just imagine. So, but what has helped is that on the solution side of that, they figured out that if we post videos, it allows the families to have access at different times in case families are working and they're in daycare and they can't do it. They can actually do their education at night. So with all these, I have to say challenges. I have to say that our team has been our elementary team has just been amazing, and as Greg said, that we have been working together as a principal group and really meeting to make sure that we can all work together as a team. And so anyway, that's our elementary side.
Yeah. And so next steps, as Jane mentioned, we have a Reimagining Schools Committee with subcommittees in elementary, secondary, safety, communication, and community outreach. These are subcommittees that are really mirroring what it'll look like at each stage of the governor's reopening plan. And we're taking the lessons that we learned from distance learning and applying it to a new situation in the fall. And we are dying to have our kids return, but come back in the safest way possible. So we'll now take any questions that you might have.
Mr. Silva.
Thank you. That was an excellent presentation. First question is, Adam Rich, did you get kicked out of your house?
Yes, I did, Michael. This is the only quiet place in our house. It's the garage, and the door is locked right now.
Yeah, that's.
I like my garage. It's my sanctuary.
But he looks nice. He looks nice.
He does look nice.
So no, actually that kind of echoes it. It's always I think that's a challenge in how the right setting and when I'm going through my stuff, I have the boys arguing over whatever they're arguing about and all that. So it's been an interesting challenge, and I know there's been a lot of frustration out there, and I just can't applaud every single person out there that truly is going above and beyond and out of their way to make sure that our kids are safe. I totally recognize that there's some things that, as much as we try to address, the reality is, it has to be reciprocated. And, I heard some, I don't know if you guys heard, but, I'm not trying to point out other stuff, but, when I hear, certain things about kids, being abused and whatnot, that's just something that weighs. I know not just on me, but, every single one of us here, because we're all here because we truly do love, we truly do love our kids and really do, think about that. And sometimes that weighs, very heavy on us, just as human beings and such. So, yeah, so I think that, the flexibility that's happened, I just really want to encourage everyone to do the best they can. I know it's frustrating, hearing about different ways to connect with students, that, I'm always, again, as an educator, I'm always looking ways to do that, even with my adults. When, we all have problems, throughout our lives. And one of my classes, I had announced that Friday that, hey, we're shutting down too. And they just, three of them independently came up, hey, Mike, things are finally going right in my life. And, I really like it here. I don't know half of what you're talking about, but I always feel like I'm learning something. And and they were just, they were pretty devastated. Some of the things I did, I was trying to do a background contest, to see who came up with the clever thing. Everybody, half the class engaged, some of them, just didn't feel comfortable. But then it went to like a show and tell of their gardens or whatever plants that they were growing and stuff like that. So it was there's different ways that I think that just that are necessary in order to make the most productive, positive experience, moving forward. Community circles that I overhear my son do, where they just kind of check in and kind of share where they're at. My son, for instance, he definitely wants to go back to school. All the parents that I know want their kids to get out of school. Get out of the house to get back to school. But it's something he kind of looks forward to every day. So again, I really appreciate the flexibility, adapting to these hard times. And also, I'm really, again, proud that we didn't, not just us, but, the state of California didn't straight up cancel schools. A lot of other states just, washed their hands of it. People are trying. We're trying. I know everyone's trying. So I want to extend my appreciation. Thank you.
Tracy.
Thanks. So Adam, I got kicked out to the trailer because my kids and dogs are going crazy. So I'm hanging out here, so at least it's quiet. I just want to say thank you for an outstanding presentation, because one of the things that conversations I have daily with, friends across the city is we are all having a different experience. And I just want to give a shout out and really remind people, with a 12,000 deep student pool, right? And just over 1,200 teachers and staff. That's a whole lot of people to support during a really challenging. Okay, but still, we got a ratio here where we're asking so much of our teachers, but we're asking even more of the support staff, because while the teachers are working from home to try to manage 30 of us, right? We're not all created equal as parents either. And then you've got staff at school trying to do packets and tech and support. And I have to say, I don't want to get verklempt. I'm just overwhelmed with every single parent who's needed extra help has gotten exactly what they need. I'm talking home delivery of packets. Like, that's not far-fetched. People have done that for lots of families throughout this district. So I've heard, good feedback, bad feedback, and I just would tell you that communication is key right now, that this spirit of partnership and meeting families where they are is very real, and we can't solve a problem if we don't know you have it. So don't stay mad at us, or if you're feeling let down about something, or you're proud about something or something. We want to hear what's working. If you have an aha moment, we probably need to hear it too. But if something sucks, we want to hear that, because we can probably solve the problem. We just didn't know it needed to be solved. So I just want to in full transparency, I have been so humbled, and I am not smarter than the 5th grader. I just told the team earlier that I expelled my 5th grader today to his room with a book. And I don't even know if he read the darn thing, but there you go. So I have not yet pulled 4 hours of anything out of my hat with my kid. So to all the parents out there who are like, yeah, right, everybody understands. I will never do a PEMDA. That's just not how math was supposed to be done until now. So I'll never learn how to do that. I'm trying. But just know that we are all, when we are in this together, I don't always agree with that sentiment, but I totally agree with this one. As parents, we are all losing our minds and growing. And there's a silver lining of, I've gotten to know my kids so much better, like on a daily basis. And so just, yeah, I'm just super, super proud of everyone in this district. And then we mean it when we say, give us the feedback. Don't be home stewing about how much you're angry about something your kid needs. Let us know they need it. So thank you.
Fantastic. Anybody else? All right, for the rest of us not speaking, thank you very much for the presentation, but more importantly, thank you for everything that's being done out there, and the presentation just reflecting that. Greatly appreciate it. With that, we're going to move on to item 16B, Foster Homeless and Youth Program Update. Community Liaison and Safety Coordinator Rayanne Quinata is going to provide us an overview. Ms. Rayanne.
Thank you very much, President Jansen, board members, Superintendent Shamea. I appreciate the opportunity to just share some information about our program and just give you a glimpse of what we do for our students. So if you want to go ahead. Our program focuses on 5 program objectives, and through those objectives, we work to create trusting and caring relationships with our students and our parents. And we help to bring students, parents, our schools, our staff, and our community agencies together to help meet the very unique educational, emotional, and physical needs of some of our most vulnerable students. So our program objectives begin with building trust, which we feel is essential in the work that we're doing. We do this through confidential and mutually respectful relationships between all of the parties, from students, parents, teachers, administrators, and other school staff. Maintaining consistency in the educational setting for all these students, which is really important because these are students who have a lot of mobility. So giving them one safe, consistent place for their education is really critical. Meeting student needs by understanding and addressing the very unique educational, physical, social, emotional needs that students experiencing homelessness have, and foster students as well. And providing equal opportunities to all of our students by offering equitable access to educational supports, academic opportunities, and extracurricular activities as well. And finally, creating partnerships. And this is done by treating all of the players, the students, the parents, the teachers, and the school staff, all as equal partners in the educational process. So who we serve students falling into 2 groups. Our foster youth, who are youth who've been placed in foster homes, which can be with relatives and with non-relatives, students in group homes or residential facilities, institutions, and pre-adoptive homes. And then our McKinney-Vento, or our homeless youth. And the McKinney-Vento Federal Homeless Assistance Act defines a homelessness as lacking a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. So this can include students who are in situations that we consider doubled up, which is sharing housing due to a loss of their housing or economic hardship. This is the majority of the McKinney-Vento identified youth we have in our district. Probably about 75% are sharing housing due to financial hardship. But those students can also be living in emergency or transitional shelters, hotels and motels, campgrounds, and also places not intended for sleeping, such as bus stations or cars or public parks. So this graphic shows kind of a glimpse of the numbers of identified McKinney-Vento or homeless students we've had over about the last 11 or 12 years, at least since I've been doing this work. So this year we were on track to meet or exceed where we ended last year. But things have dramatically slowed down with the COVID-19 school closures. We are still identifying students. We are still registering students again now. So the numbers have changed just a little. We've added a little bit to that. But we were definitely on track to meet last year's numbers. And I think you can see by the graphic that the numbers are steadily increasing. I think this is a combination of things, and one of those that I'm kind of proud of is just we're getting better at identifying them. We're getting better at finding the students. We know better questions to ask. We're doing more outreach, and we're finding the kids, which is really the most important part. And here is a glimpse at our foster youth counts as well. And I think the numbers are pretty much the same as last year. They would have been on track to meet or exceed, but that would have been very close had we not had the school closure. But again, that number is changing. We've actually added 3 students since February 28th to this count. So how we support our students. We understand that every family has very unique and special needs and circumstances that they're dealing with. So we want to work together with each family to come up with individualized services to best support every individual student. So some of the items that we help with: getting students registered, basic needs, school supplies, transportation assistance if needed. But we also will do things like helping them connect with special education if they have questions about that, or if they have an IEP, helping students who may qualify for reduced graduation credits and can graduate under the state requirements versus the district requirements. So helping to find those students and make sure that they have those services, and also referrals to outside agencies and services within our district, counseling, mental health, and then places like the Family Resource Center, Opportunity House, various agencies we have throughout our community. This is a tough time for everybody. And what we've tried to do during this time is provide some direct outreach to our families. I have attempted phone calls to every single family of our McKinney-Vento youth and our foster youth. I haven't necessarily reached every one of them. I've left a lot of messages, but I've talked to a lot of people, and it's given us an opportunity to really gauge kind of where they are, what they need, if there's supports that are needed. I want to make sure that they're all aware of the lunch program and the meal distribution, the availability of Chromebooks and Wi-Fi hotspots, but just having that communication and a conversation with the families, asking, what can we do? What do you need? How are you doing? The calls have been very appreciated. The families, even if they don't need anything at all, are just very thankful and take a moment to say so, just to be checked on. They really appreciate that. I've had the opportunity to find some families that just needed some help that they could access through Family Resource Center here with the Vacaville PD or the Opportunity House. I've still met with families to provide clothing, shoes, gas cards, because they are having trouble now financially being able to get to and from work to earn the money to support their family, and grocery cards, things like that as well. I've worked with a few of our graduating seniors who needed college admission documentation, such as verification of their McKinney-Vento status, community college paperwork that, they're independent students and they're just having a hard time. It's a tough system to navigate sometimes. So I've been able to help a number of our students with some of those processes. And then connecting students and parents with our teachers and administrators when they're struggling. We've found a few families that were completely not connected, and I was able to get them connected through administration to counseling and to some of their teachers, and just getting them connected so people can explain, my lights just went off. The distance learning plan as well, if they were having difficulty with that. So for students to succeed in school, they have to be able to be in school. So this year we started, I'm attending the SARB meetings now for any families that have foster youth or McKinney-Vento youth. And that's been really great because it gives us the opportunity right there in the moment to hear the conversations, what the struggles are for getting the students to school. And if there's things we can do immediately, we can take care of it right there. If it's bus passes or other needs that aren't being met, we have the opportunity to connect, get a face-to-face meeting, And then they have somebody that they know that they can come to if they're struggling with other issues. But that's been really helpful. We're working really hard to build capacity out at our school sites as well to be able to provide services directly to students versus having the parents have to figure out a way to get over here to the ESC to pick up supplies, to pick up basic needs. So we have a number of schools that you can see here on the screen that either have or are working towards getting resource closets on site so the students don't necessarily have to leave their campus to get the things that they need. So you can see there's a number of campuses there. And then I do maintain a closet here at the Educational Services Center with all kinds of school supplies, backpacks, clothing, brand new shoes, dental kits, hygiene kits. So if parents can come here, they can come and do a little shopping trip. So one of those on the list is My Friend's House, which is located on the Vacaville High School campus. This is a really exciting partnership with Opportunity House and the Vacaville Social Services Corporation. So this is a direct outreach program designed to meet the needs of homeless and some of our at-promise youth before they become victims of things like drugs, trafficking, crime, and gangs. And some of the services that are provided right there on site on the Vacaville High School campus are things like access to computers that have internet, which they might not be able to access once they leave campus, access to laundry services, on-site staff, staffed through the Opportunity House that provides comprehensive case management for those students. They coordinate workshops, group activities, speakers, all kinds of educational opportunities, and also conduct proactive street outreach outside down in the park or downtown area to try to reach those unaccompanied homeless youth, to tell them there's a place where they can go to receive additional services. Partnerships are critical for us to be able to do what we do and to continue to grow the program. We're limited in what we can do sometimes, and we need those partnerships to be able to refer people to where they can get more help. So here's a list of just some of the groups that we work together with that provide services to our families. One of the ones I really love is Orchard Elementary's MAD Club, a student-based group. They put together fundraisers, take the money, go and shop for items, and put together hygiene kits for our foster and homeless youth that come through here. So every family that needs one can receive a bag full of full-size items, soaps, toothbrush, shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, all types of things. And the MAD Club has just been amazing. They've been doing that for a couple of years now for us. But as you can see, there's a lot of groups that we work with. Outreach and community engagement. We have to do outreach to our client families, and that helps us build those relationships. Everything that we do is relationship based, building trust, letting them know they have somebody they can come to, having hard conversations. It's really important. And then engaging with the community allows us to share information and provide a better understanding to the community of those different and unique needs and challenges that foster and homeless families face. So some of those engagement opportunities include the quarterly foster parent meetings. That is something new this year that we just started. And it's a great opportunity for our foster and kinship and guardian parents to come together. Great conversations have happened amongst the families themselves, but it's also a great platform and an opportunity for them to share concerns, ask questions, and it gives us as a district the opportunity to share information about programs we have available and other services that we offer throughout the district. Some of our topics this year included special education overview, the district's LCAP, and we had a representative from the police department come and speak on school safety with us. So those have been great. I'm looking forward to those coming back again in the new year. My Friend's House, which we just talked about, that does direct outreach to homeless youth and low-income families in the community. The Vacaville Homeless Roundtable, we participate in that, and that gives us direct access to community agencies all throughout Vacaville that provide services to our homeless population here in town. And then the Vacaville Youth Roundtable, which gives us access to the youth in our schools and in our community, and lets us listen to them about concerns and suggestions, what their priorities are, and how they think we can best help serve them. You have to keep growing to keep expanding the program. So we work with a lot of partnering agencies to stay informed on changes and additions to federal and state laws regarding the rights and protections of foster and homeless youth. So we work, with agencies here in Vacaville, in Solano County, and beyond. So the Foster Youth Education Planning Team is a collaboration with County Office of Ed, other school districts within Solano County, child welfare services, foster agencies, the county court system, and brings together all groups of people that are have a stake in foster youth and their caregivers. The Solano County Office of Education Student Services meeting monthly with the County Office of Ed and all Solano County school districts, including private and charter schools, to address the needs and rights and changes to laws and protections of foster and homeless youth. The Foster Kinship Care Education Program through Solano Community College offers an annual foster conference, which has been great. I've been able to attend that for the last couple of years. It's local here in Solano County, and it brings great keynote speakers and offers breakout sessions to provide information related to supporting not only our foster youth, but their caregivers, because it's a challenging job being a foster parent or a kinship parent. It's not easy. So it gives us a great opportunity to learn more and hear about tools and ways that we can support not only the students, but the families. And finally, the National Association for the Education of Homeless Children and Youth, which is NACY, holds an annual conference. The location varies. I've attended once so far. I'd love to get back to it again. But a national conference that provides supports and breakout sessions again for our McKinney-Vento youth. Once we learn about the changes and things that we need to know, it's imperative that we share that information with our site staff, with parents, with everybody, so they know what we have to offer, what their rights are, and how we're going to support them in that. So we've provided formal trainings to these groups here, elementary and secondary administrators, counselors and deans, and also our school secretaries, who are often the very first encounter that our families are going to have. So working with them to help identify finding the trigger words or the key phrases you have to listen for to identify those, and giving them tools to have those conversations to make sure we're identifying all these youth is critical. The biggest challenge remains identification, finding the youth. It's hard. It's a difficult topic. Often parents feel a stigma attached to being homeless or having a child in foster care. They want to be private. So being respectful of their privacy, yet finding ways to communicate that we're here to help. We're here to serve the students and make sure that they have what they need, and making them feel comfortable enough to talk to us and share that information is hard, but it's really, really important work. And through consistent training and consistent communication, both with staff and with our parents, the process is getting better. And I think that's reflected in the numbers that we saw on the slide earlier, with the increased numbers every year. We're getting better, but we'll keep working at it. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to share some positives, some highlights, at least for me, that we've been lucky to be a part of over the last year. So we had senior prom last year. We were planning to do this again this year. Unfortunately, everything has been changed pretty dramatically. But last year, with the help of Blissful Massage, a local community partner, we were able to send 8 foster or homeless seniors from 3 different high schools here in Vacaville to their prom with complete prom packages, everything provided from their ticket to their dress, hair and makeup, facials, dinners, transportation, the whole thing. Everything was covered, whatever they needed. And this picture was from the day that we had a team of makeup artists and hairstylists that donated their time to spend the day of prom, to get all of our girls ready to attend. And we also had Tiffany Donahue, our adult education principal, visit Opportunity House and spend an evening there. It was really a great opportunity for her to engage in conversation with the adult residents, letting them know about their programs and the opportunities that they have through adult ed, the residents there were engaged, asked a lot of questions, and quite a few of them expressed interest in reaching out to Tiffany afterwards to register for classes. So that was a great way to pull programs together. I wanted to share a story of just one of our amazing families. You know, when our families are successful, the students are successful. There's a direct correlation there. And Yolanda is a dear friend of mine now that I've come to work with through this program. And I just wanted to share a little bit about her. She has 3 students here in our district, and she connected with us when they got here, and they were going through some really hard times. Through her personal dedication and determination, she was able to move her family from living in cars and motels into their own apartment just about 2 weeks before Christmas, this past Christmas. But while her and I were working throughout the school year, I shared with her, again, information about our adult ed program and kind of trying to find ways for her to build herself up and provide her with some opportunities to improve her family's situation. She enrolled in our adult ed paraprofessional certification course, passed that, received her certificate. She applied for positions here in the district as a paraprofessional just before the schools closed. We were so close. But she also met all the requirements to get on our clerical sub list. So there's a mom who took advantage of other programs that our district offered, and hopefully when schools come back in, you know, we'll be reapplying and maybe you'll see her around the district. So that's really exciting for me. And then finally, Winter Wishes, which I think all of you are probably familiar with, but the partnership with Wilsey Wood Link Crew, the last 3 years, they have gifted cars to McKinney-Vento families. And it's just really amazing. Every vehicle was donated, then repaired and serviced by the Wilsey Wood Advanced Auto class, and then donated to these families. I mean, and this is literally life-changing kindness for these families who are reliant on public transportation or no transportation at all. They have to call friends, and suddenly they have a vehicle and their kids can now get to school consistently. They're not walking, they're not relying on public transportation. The pictures kind of say it all with the smiles on their faces. So it's just such a gift to be able to be involved in programs like that. So we understand that we're not going to be able to end homelessness or the need for foster care, but we are fully committed to continued collaboration with all of our students, our parents, our staff, and our community agencies to ensure that every one of our students has the tools and the supports and the opportunities, not only to earn their diploma, but to achieve their dreams beyond that. Any questions?
Is it okay, John?
Yeah, let's let Sean go first, please.
Sure.
Ryan, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for that amazing presentation. But, you know, beyond that, you are literally one of our unsung heroes in this district. The work that you do is incredibly important, and you are just amazing at it. I don't know what these families would do without you. I don't know what we would do without you. So, but I want to, I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but I remember conversations I'd had with Kim Forrest before she retired. From what I understand, a lot of our foster and homeless youth are actually doing fairly well in school, particularly given their circumstance. And if that's true, that's because of the work that you do and because of the willingness they demonstrate to work with you. So, you know, I don't know if you know or you can comment on that, but when I heard that, my reaction was that's a direct result. Their success, a lot of it is a direct result of the time and energy that you put into making sure that they are successful.
Those are very, very kind words, and I appreciate that very much. I'm not sure how much credit I can take. I think there's still more that we can do, more I'd like to do in terms of tracking academics and getting a little bit deeper in there. But I do firmly believe that when you make a connection with a student or a parent, that impact goes far beyond just whatever you're doing, providing the backpack or the school supplies or the pair of shoes. The connection to those families, letting them know that somebody cares, that we're invested in them, and we're going to walk beside them through this. is so important. And that's what I found to be like the most rewarding part of all of this, is the relationships that I build. These families are my friends. They're not my clients. They're not just our students and parents. These are my friends who we are on first name basis. They can call me. I know who they are. I can call them first name only. It's all about the relationships. It's so important. And I continue to say there's so much more I think we can do, but we're working at it and we're getting better every year. And that to me is the most important part. But thank you for your very kind words. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you for what you do. I appreciate it. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, just to echo Sean's, comments that, I really, when I came on, maybe a year and a half ago, I've already heard about the work that you were doing, and you were doing it on your own. And that just, takes special people to really truly go up and out of their way to take on, more responsibilities on their own. I truly feel, if there's such a thing as angels that walk this earth, you're one of them. And I really appreciate this presentation and the time that you put into it, and really, when we put out that help and just kind of seeing or putting out the requests, the community at large, generally responds well, because these are kids, and it's not their fault what they're in, and but how we and what we can do, can really influence that, basically what Sean was saying. So I just thank you, and I really I'm very humbled and appreciative of this particular presentation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Anybody else? Perfect. Seeing nothing. Rand, great presentation. We've known for years you do an excellent job. Keep up the good work. And then come back down to earth, you angel, you. Okay. But no, seriously, great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. With that, 16C, the status of high school grading. Ed Santa Padre is going to provide us an update. Ed?
Good evening, President Jansen, board members, Superintendent Shamea. You heard most of the work being done tonight, so this will be easy. We sent to you a document yesterday concerning high school grading, which is just one more layer of the distance learning that we're working on. And we really focused on seniors, because everyone else, we can continue to fix things and work on things, but seniors, we really need to get them graduated and on to their next steps. So I think the theme tonight is that this is hard, and that theme is going to continue here, and the grading has been tricky too. But I do want to start by saying I am so impressed and thankful to our students and their parents who now are teachers, and our teachers who are way out of their zones, and administrators, and everybody really is working together to get them across. So traditionally in our district, the last quarter of school is a time where we spend getting just a few of the seniors. If you think about it, we have 1,000 seniors that'll be graduating in a few weeks. And there's just a few of them that we have to really encourage and help and support and drag to the finish line and get them to the stage. And this year is no different. In fact, this year there's probably a few more because of the circumstances. And I truly understand the senior plight. Again, to think about having to do all the hard things like senior English and government, and not do senior sunset prom. I mean, it just feels really, really unbalanced and unfair. So I get that, but we know and they know they have to do it. So we have probably 50 or 60 seniors that we are concerned may need summer school to finish and graduate, but that number is continuing to move. And every year there's a group of seniors who need to go to summer school. And this is just a little bit higher this year. But I will tell you, until the last day, we will continue to contact. In fact, we have a plan now, in addition to all of the contacts that counselors have made and teachers have made and administrators have made. Our team we're just going to go out and knock on some doors. And really, these are the seniors who at the third quarter, when we went out on distance learning, had an F in probably one of the core classes in English or government, and really hasn't done anything to bring that up. And we're going to just keep on it. We're going to get as many of those students there as we can. But you have the document. It compares a little bit from last year and the year before. We're prepared for summer school for the students who do need that. And something that was sent to me that I think our teachers are doing a great job as we're doing this is they're grading with grace. And we're giving everybody but the benefit of the doubt. We're really trying to get as many seniors as we can across. But you have all the information, so I'd rather take the questions that you may have or provide that to you.
Thank you, Ed. Anyone with questions? Mike?
Yeah, so, I really want to thank the discussion that we had last meeting. I truly do value and reflect on, everyone's input. But the amount of work that went into researching and digging in and looking at each student, I really want to appreciate everyone, Ed, Kelly, and whoever else, Ramiro, whoever else was involved, the principals, teachers that was involved, and I really appreciate it. I think it's a really important tool that help us really truly make data-driven, informed decisions, and that's ultimately why I was asking for that. I want to kind of explain and communicate where I came from, where I was coming from on this. We had just a few very, very intimate presentations and kind of reflected on where a lot of kids are at, where they're struggling, and the efforts that we're vested into addressing their needs and whatever those are. When I was reading through the report, that it was very evident the time and commitment that staff are putting in to again reach out to each student, and the going to like how many students we haven't been able to contact. It just hit me again, because why is that? Are they okay? And I know there's a lot of things that are outside our scope. For me, where I was, and as I barely graduated high school, I was going through a lot of stuff. I was supposed to fail. I should have failed. This particular teacher wanted to they were supposed to fail me, but I had someone advocating for me. I had someone stepping up. It wasn't something that I personally addressed with that teacher, because I didn't want to burden them. My problems I wanted to keep to myself. They were essentially my problems. I don't want to make my problems someone else's problems. And but so like a lot of times, students, individuals, kids, they're really trying to be strong. They're really trying to be resilient. I think our district is overall, the past year and a half, try to make strides in trying to accommodate and implement, different programs, particularly with RAP, to address how students may learn differently, and other ways to truly value, their ability to be successful in life. So really, what for me, I personally, with my experiences and my insight, knowing that we have students that have witnessed murders, have gone through other traumatic events, molestation, rape. For me, those are the things that weigh down on me, that what those kids are going through. And I also know and trust that teachers, our teachers, will make the right decision on what's best for the students that they know. And I think that was reflective of that today in the presentation. So, so really where I'm going to leave that at, I know I was pushing for A through D grading scale. I think that ultimately it comes down to really just trusting that our teachers will make the right decision for our students, and really how how they move forward. I think it's really important that students get a high school diploma. I don't think they should settle for anything less. there are opportunities out there right now. For instance, I'm in biotech. Biorad's hiring 40 temporary people to help out meet the testing needs to get things opened up again. One of the stipulations, that was set at least at one point. And so I think that, those our students can be eligible to be employed within that scope. And I think that, but they have to have a high school diploma, right? So, kids are going through a lot, and, I really appreciate the effort and again, putting the data together to really represent where we're at. The key piece of information, although maybe I misread it because you said a little something different, but I think the reality is where we're at today and how where we're at and what we can assess and determine right today. There's not much difference than there was the year before. You mentioned that there's a little bit higher, but based on the data that you provided, there's just certain things that are the way they are currently. So that's what I have to say. Again, I really appreciate the report. It's a phenomenal report. You guys should put out research papers.
Thank you.
You got the touch. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Mr. Wyndham?
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo Mr. Silva's sentiment in that I would like to thank staff, because that was a very comprehensive document with a lot of great information in it. And I know I'm going to kind of sound harsh, but that's just my background here, so bear with me. I think it's really critical. I know some of you are laughing. I think it's really critical to balance right now, to realize that this is tough for everybody. We're in a time that I don't think any of us really saw coming, and we're all still trying to figure out how to deal with it. But at the same time with students, I think what we've heard tonight is we provide a lot of supports, and at the end of the day, the job of an educational institution, be it K-12, be it higher education, is to provide an education. And we do so much more than simply provide an education to our students. So much more. We've heard just some of that tonight. Very little of it. I mean, there's so much more we could talk about, and we have in the past. But I also want to balance that by saying, all of us, there's no pause button on life. We all have to get through. We all have to persevere to some extent. And I think it's really critical, and I think you're doing this, Ed, is to realize that just because the situation's going on, we still have to persevere. And there might be students that don't graduate. I'm a student who didn't graduate. It was only because I was a bonehead. I have no excuse. I was just a bonehead. I went back to school later on and got my degrees later on in life. It is doable. But it is important that students still earn the degree, because at the end of the day, if a student doesn't earn a diploma, then it really it lessens the meaning of it and the impact of it, and it also prevents them from being successful beyond their high school education. So I think the balance is, it's really important to make sure that it is earned, and even in this crisis, we still have to persevere, and we still have to earn the achievements that we get. So thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Kitsis.
There we go. I think two things. And I'll probably forget the second. I think that what this really shows, what this whole thing shows right here, is that how important data is to make decisions. I think what Mike was saying basically is, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is that once the data was clear, once everything was kind of out there and you could really see it and what it meant and how many people were affected and all that, then, it was easy to make a decision. It was easy for him to say, okay, actually it's fine, it's good. But it's complicated, right? Because you guys are super busy and you got a lot going on. So it's a real balance. And I just appreciate the process of trying to figure out when it's worth it and when it's not. The other thing is, I guess I just want to push back a little bit on what Sean is saying. Surprise. I think Sean is right. I think what he's saying is right, but I think it's not black and white. I think that.
That was recorded, just so you know.
What?
Sean is right was recorded. Keep going. Sorry.
Good. I think that, it's questionable whether someone who's having a terrible time and is 5 credits away and they didn't do their last English class really hasn't earned their high school diploma, especially in times of like COVID. So I don't think it's black and white. And I think also there are lots of the kids that Rayanne was talking about, and I deal with them all the time. I was in an interagency the other day, and there was a kid in Solano County. We have mental health and child welfare and probation, and we meet every week. And this often happens. There was a kid in the last 24 months had 9 placements. Okay, 9 placements in the last 2 years. I mean, none of us, or maybe some of us, but most of us can't even conceive of that. There's no way to process that based on most of our lives. And that's why I think it's not a one-size-fits-all. I think there are good points here and good points there, but some kids, if they would graduate and they get their stuff together 4 years down the road, can then go ahead, and if they had to go back and try to get a degree, so I just think it's very complicated, and I appreciate all the effort that all the staff and all the trustees have put into this very difficult situation.
Tracy?
You sound so thrilled. I just wanted to give a totally different perspective of the thoughtfulness that went into the grading and the grading with grace, because my senior rocked it while he was in school. But at home, we're having this unique challenge of he's 18 and a grown-up, and he actually kind of sort of isn't in school anymore, so how can you tell me to go do my work? So he's having a very fast lesson of, okay, figure it out. Sink or swim, dude. You want to graduate? Don't sit on your thumb. Like, we got to figure this out, right? And so, but the grading with grace has given him the opportunity to figure out on his own which grades he wants to bring up and what he needs to maintain and where the gaps in his learning is. And it happened very organically and very quickly. And so at the end of the day, this is the last semester for our seniors. So anything that we can do to help them be successful, I just don't know how important all the grades are. So this idea of grace and accountability and responsibility, I'm stoked. I think this is all going to work out. It was thoughtful and it give us data, and it's so complicated, like both Michaels have said. And Sean too, I just want to say thank you. And there's lots of silver linings, so thanks.
Fantastic.
They're getting good practice for college too, because that's how it is. You have to figure out what to do and when to do it. It's a shame they had to do it this way, but it'll pay off.
Thank you, Ed. As always, straight to the point, short and sweet. Appreciate your information you're providing. With that, 16D, we're going to move on to facilities and maintenance update. Mr. Banowitz.
Okay, good evening, board, President Jansen and Superintendent Shamea. I'm here for your regular facilities updates. Some good news is Measure A, the final $71 million of Measure A is that money's in the bank. And we are working on scheduling all the remaining projects. To give you an example of what we're doing is was the Nino Stadium, which I'll talk about a little bit later, wrapping up and getting close to being done. The architects there are going to move right into the new gym and the modernization project. So we'll be starting the site committee and the design in the next week and a half. So we're just not going to stop. We're just going to keep on going. And all the other projects that are remaining for Measure A, we'll be getting to and finishing up in the next 3 to 3.5 years. So that'll get us the program done 5 years early. And we're at Markham, the MP room. We are finishing the exterior plaster of the MP room this week. And they are fiercely working on the inside by finishing up the drywall over the next week and a half and working on the finishes in there. We're going to be seeing kitchens kind of build up and equipment coming in soon. So that building is moving right along, and it'll be done, ready to go in August. Buildings O&P, the next set of modular classroom buildings, they have arrived and have been set. So now they're buttoning them all together and doing all the finished work there. Those those classrooms, those two will be ready by August. And the site work is continuing. We have teachers that have been showing up and have been packing out of the next round of portables that are be going away. That'll be done over the summer. And then we'll be starting the work in the existing MP room to turn it into the new admin building over the next 2 weeks. Over at Sierra Vista, the increment 3, we're going to start the punch list, which is the last phase of everything. It's where the entire design and construction team goes through the project to find any little thing that needs to be done that might have been missed during construction. That's what a punch list is. We're going to start that on May 19th, and we're going to be moving them in shortly after with their new furniture, and Aaron will be moving them in after that. And then we'll be wrapping up and getting out of Sierra Vista's hair after the last 4 years of work we've been doing there. So it'll be nice to be moved. I'm sure Kathy will be happy to see us gone. Over at Zunino Stadium, if Mr. Jansen, you've got that, that's a picture I took today of the stadium. It is really coming along really well. The track is laid out, and it didn't show up in the picture. I actually climbed all the way up to the press box, and my phone still couldn't take the whole thing. But the end zones looks great. The new scoreboard, the big flag, everything is just looking great out there. There was guys that were laying down on the ground, lining up for the striping, and they're lining everything up. So that'll be what we do next. That'll be towards the end of it. We also have the slurry seal that's going to go on all the old asphalt and the new stuff. We'll be sealing cracks and putting the slurry down next week, and then the punch list will be at the end of next week. So we're wrapping that one up. At the old district office, you will see that it's surrounded by fencing right now, construction fencing. They're going to start the abatement of any hazardous materials on Monday. The demolishing of the buildings will be shortly after that. So we'll let everybody know what date they're going to come down. So if you want to come out and see what happens when they come down, everybody will have the chance to do that. Over at Bella Vista Road, we opened up the bidding for the improvements at 188 and 194 Bella Vista Road last week. We had 5 bids, and they came in very favorable. The architect estimate was $2.3 million, and they came in, our winning bid was $1.65 million. So it came in really well. The contract for that will be on the next board meeting. Over at 100 McClellan Road, we have some new designs for the multi-purpose room. And what we've done is, we had the issues with the 4 classrooms over on the easement between the parking lot and the existing campus. We have a great design, I think, that's going to really work well. It incorporates the MP room. Robotics has their own space connected to that building. Then there's an inner corridor, and then 4 classroom buildings, which will be the science buildings, that'll have an interior corridor for safety reasons, where if there's a reason for a lockdown or lockout, we can just close those doors and lock 2 doors, and they'll all be safe inside. We are working on that now. It's a great design that we really like. We just have to make sure that we can fit it in the budget, and that's what the next step is to do that. And the next thing coming up is Aaron McGuire has been working with everybody. We have Buckingham, Country High, Kimmy, and Markham all going through moves over the next few weeks. That there's been a lot of coordination, a lot of people coming and packing. We're moving people out of one space into storage so we can do some work in that space, and then move them into another space and move in everybody else. We're moving 4 sites around. But we've all got it handled, and we're just waiting for people to finish up packing so we can pull the trigger and get those things done. So that's all I have for this evening. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Hey, Dan?
Yes.
John? I was reading very quickly, and I might not have gotten it right, but I was looking at the governor's budget, the summary, this afternoon. And it said something about deferring certain requirements for kindergarten classes or preschool classes or something like that Are you aware of what I'm talking about? And does that have anything to do with the Bethany site?
I have not heard yet. I know that there are requirements for the preschool classrooms that we would be putting in at the Bethany site, and one of the things that we're working on at Markham for the one room out there. But you know, I don't.
I was just
know
wondering
if
I just wondering if it had anything to do with, like, you know, the ability to defer some of the things that we needed to do there. That's all. I mean, I'm happy to take it next time.
Yeah, no, I have not heard yet. I don't know.
Okay.
Fantastic. Anybody else for Dan? Dan, as always, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 17, which is action items. And our first one, first couple of them actually, are recognizing many of our staff members. Item 17A is adoption of resolution recognizing the California Day of the Teacher, May 13th, yesterday. And it's recommended action that the board approve resolution number 27, 2019-2020, recognizing the California Day of the Teacher, May 13, 2020. And we've heard just a tad bit of what all our fine teachers are doing throughout the district to be applauded by. So do I have a
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Kitsis, second by Wyndham. Roll call vote. Shelley?
Yes.
Cherie?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes, for corn teachers.
And myself is a yes as well. You know, I'm going to take a pause for 1 second, and we had Miss Salazar. Are you still here with us from Vaca High?
Yes.
Fantastic. If I'm going to deviate just a little bit to allow her to give her presentation. I think it's important since she's been here, and then we'll get right back to the action items. So, Gabriella, all yours.
All right. Thank you. Sorry, I had a few internet connection problems, but good evening, board. Last week, our students celebrated Wellness Week with a variety of fun activities to partake in during the lockdown. Monday was Get Outside Monday, so we encouraged students to log off and get outside. Tuesday was Tasty Tuesday, where we shared a recipe for lemon bars. Wednesday, Workout Wednesday, students were able to share their quarantine cardio workout with friends and family. Try It Thursday, where they can show off a new skill. And Just Dance Friday, where they joined a Zoom dance party. We've had 3 videos go out during the lockdown so far. We have the teacher appreciation video made by a few of our students, ASB letter to the student body, where student council members put together a video to encourage students and just continue to motivate them during this lockdown, and a special message to the Vaca High School class of 2020. Even with the lockdown, our students are working hard to create the virtual lip dub for 2020. And then currently we are working on the possibility of a virtual graduation for our 2020 seniors. We're playing around with the idea of a graduation slideshow, and each senior gets to put together a template to show in the slideshow. Some other senior events is Decision Day, which is on May 22nd, where students get to share their decision of what college they got to choose that night. And then there's also Scholarship Night, where local scholarships come and they do like a little information on their scholarship and award it to the students who won that scholarship that night. And then also AP exams for our students began this week, and we all wish our students taking exams from home good luck. Thank you.
Thanks for being a trooper. That was good.
Gabriella, thanks very much. Always appreciate seeing you and hearing from you. Who won the lemon bar contest? Do we know?
I actually have no idea. I don't know if anybody made the lemon bars. I didn't have the ingredients for it, but it would have been cool to see who won that.
it's kind of appropriate how cardio day was the next day to burn off all those lemon bars that you had eating. Yeah. Again, thank you very much. All right, with that, item 17B, the adoption of resolution recognizing National Nurse Day, again, May 13th, 2020. Resolution expresses the board's appreciation of school nurses and recognizes their efforts of meeting the needs of today's students by improving the delivery of health care in our schools. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion since my wife's a nurse.
Oh, how nice of you. Motion by Wyndham, second by Silva. Roll call vote. Shelley.
Yes.
Cherie.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Item 17C, adoption of resolution recognizing classified school employee week, which is next week, May 17th through 23rd. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Malberg, second by Silva. Roll call vote. Shelley?
Yes.
Cherie?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And myself is a yes as well. 17D, adoption of resolution number 30, 2019-2020, authorizing addendum number 5 of the facilities lease and landmark modernization contractors, DBA Landmark Construction. It's a Measure A project. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Silva, second by Wyndham. Shelley?
Yes. Yes.
Cherie?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yep.
Sean?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. 17E, it's requested that the board approve resolution 31-1920 approving the purchase agreement and final acceptance of real property, and that is the property located at 621 South Orchard Avenue, the Bethany Lutheran Church. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Kitsis, second by Silva. Shelley?
Yes.
Cherie?
John, I'm so sorry. Can I ask a question on this? I know we started the vote, but can I?
No, by all means.
Okay. So one of the things Kelly had talked about tonight was that it's possible that developer fees are going to be open and free game. So there's going to be, did I understand that right? There's going to be a little bit more flexibility possibly around that.
Kelly, can you address that?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was trying to turn my speaker and my video back on.
I'm sorry.
And yes, there is going to be more flexibility around temporary borrowing between funds.
Okay, because you guys, I have been slam dunk on this since day one, but then that was prior to pandemic and prior to fear of funding and cutting salaries and so I all of a sudden getting super nervous about the Bethany project in light of the current pandemic and the current financial situation. And it didn't really hit me fully tonight, you guys, until we were hearing the budget discussion tonight. So I just didn't know if and I know we're all exhausted and this is a very long meeting already, but I guess, Jane, I'm looking for a little bit of direction from you two. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are that I think that I think it's necessary. I think we have a lot of growth. That's my big concern.
Yeah.
We don't have money to build. We all know that building an elementary school is $40 million, upwards of that. There's some thought that, people have different opinions about whether our growth will continue or not. I do know that we have parents of private school students making inquiries and wanting to enroll because they can't afford their schools. So I would be surprised if we had any decline in enrollment. And that was the purpose.
No, that's it. You're good. Thank you. I just needed it brought back through as the bigger picture again.
And I think I just want to clarify one thing with Kelly. When Kelly talks about borrowing between funds, are there other funds? I mean, it's not just developer fees. We have several other funds in our budget, right, Kelly?
Yes, that's just one of a few. And we have about $13 million in there right now. So with the purchase of the church, we'll still have a really healthy fund balance, even in Fund 25.
Okay, call for my vote again, John.
Yes, I will. Anything else I should do?
For now.
All right, thank you. So just to recap, Shelley was a yes, Cherie,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. Item 17F is associated with this. It's requested that the board approve the purchase and sale agreement for the same property located at 621 Orchard Avenue in the amount of $2.4 million. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Daly, second by Mr. Silva. Shelley.
Wait.
Yes.
Oh, question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, so I was going to add in between, but this is fine. So I just wanted, to Jane's point, just to be certain that, and is Sasha still here? I don't know if she's still here, but I had heard this morning, like the governor's thing, that he might be pulling back the preschool for all project. And so I'm wondering if it's going to affect that so that we would have the flexibility if we needed it to expand for other reasons. We're not locked into what we use it for. It's just us, right? Does that make sense?
I would say it's our property to do with as we please.
Let's move on. Okay, so I'll vote.
Right? It's just one of our pieces of property we can do with.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Can I add something, John?
By all means.
It's gonna kill us, but
No, I mean.
No, go ahead.
I know how. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna make a smart comment, but I think nothing. So I think we got some of us got a couple emails. Nothing's been decided for that site. It's still real estate. That's still something that we have. It's something that can be moved around and adjusted with. So it's still some property that gives our district a lot of flexibility. Throughout time. Really. So I think it's a really smart move on our behalf of our district and our students, especially echoing what a lot of parents have been expressing as far as impacted sites and all that. So it gives us a lot more flexibility and a fiscally responsible approach. So I just want to, I guess, clarify or add that to the discussion.
And just to add to that, there was other interest, and we were not the only people. We had somebody competing with us for that property.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, seeing none, I think we had a motion in a second, correct, Teresa? We're moving on to the vote.
Yep.
Fantastic. Shelley.
Yes.
Cherie.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yeah.
Michael.
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
And myself is a yes as well. Item 17G is approval of the charter revisions for Kimmy Charter Academy for Independent Learning. This was presented to us at a previous meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Tracy and Wyndham as second. Shelley.
Yes.
Cherie.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Michael.
Yep.
Sean.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Mike, your voice is changing there a little bit, but and myself is a yes as well. Item 17H, which is requested that the board
Sorry,
approve.
John. I just thought about legality. Officially, I'm saying yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks.
I was going to report you, Mike.
All right, children, here we go. Let's get through this. Requested that the board approve Buckingham Charter Magnet School name change to Buckingham Collegiate Charter Academy as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Motion by Wyndham, second by Silva. Before I move on, any questions or comments? Mr. Kitsis.
Yeah, my only question is that, you know, and I understand this is COVID time and I may have had my head in the sand, but honestly, I did not even know that this was up for happening. So it just seems a little bit weird that it just appeared. And I know I probably missed it on one of the, right, Jane's going to tell me that I missed it on one of the
No, you
updates.
didn't. I don't know. Actually, I am going to tell you that. That's right. I did put it on the board update.
You're welcome. So, but it is very quick. So can you just really briefly just give a quick genesis of that?
Miss Allie Eads can.
Absolutely. Well, it's one of the reasons why we're doing it now is because we're moving. And so the move gives us a perfect opportunity to rebrand ourselves. And since I've been there the last 2 years, a focus of discussion has been we need to kind of refocus who we are, think about why do families choose us? Because we are a school of choice. People come choose our school. So why are they doing that? And what are we kind of trying to collectively achieve? And then so we as a staff we worked together to answer those questions. We looked at survey data, we talked to our families, and if you look at some of the survey data that I've shared with you guys a couple of times and over the past few years, we asked, you know, what is it about Buckingham that you come here for? And one of the reasons they come is the academic rigor, and they say their plans for after high school. 92% of our students say they want to go to college. 95% of their parents say they want them to go to college. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to add collegiate in our name as opposed to magnet, because I think the magnet caused a lot of confusion. This focuses what is the thing that draws families to our school, and then it allows us to kind of make that clear. It was a kind of a faster process. Again, the move sped this up a little bit. We were originally thinking about changing it when we did our revision in probably a year from now, but it seemed like a good time to do it. Like I said, we discussed it for the last few years. In the leadership team with our staff, when we did a survey of the staff, 94.4% said yes, they wanted to change the name. And so that means one person didn't say yes, and they didn't say no. They just said, but we want to make sure we're preparing students for other things too, just not college. And we said, absolutely, that's part of it. And that's what we put out in our survey to our families. And I included the results there of what that was, and then we also gave them an input on the name, and the name that we chose was the majority choice for the name.
Okay, so I just have one question.
Sorry.
So was there any thought, I mean, why it was Buckingham Collegiate Charter Academy as opposed to Buckingham Charter Collegiate Academy? In other words, changing those two words around. And the only reason why I'm asking is that it's more consistent with what it was. In other words, you'd be changing out the magnet and the collegiate as opposed to switching them. But I'm okay. I just wanted to know if anybody thought of that.
No, that wasn't one of the suggestions. We had a lot of we had a long list of suggestions that we whittled down, and we whittled down as a staff, and then we put out maybe 4 or 5 on the larger community survey.
Okay.
Fantastic. Anybody else on this topic? Mr. Silva.
So pointing out collegiate, I wonder if that in the community will be reflective that our other high schools are not collegiate, or those students that go there are not college bound, because then it kind of begs the question, well, like in order to be successful, I have to go there, or if that's my goal, I have to go there. If I go here, or to one of these other schools that doesn't have this in their title because they have it in their title, there's like a psychological point. I'm just curious on how the community, would, I guess, long term reflect on that. I don't know, it's just a thought.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't answer for the community, but I just know that our 2 other comprehensive high schools are very well known for their academics. Vacaville High is well known for their AP Capstone program, and that is a collegiate program. Wolsey Wood is very well known for their college program. I can't think of the name right at this moment because I'm blanking, but they are very well known for that as well. So I don't know that our name would throw off saying they're just going to come to our school because of collegiate.
I think, it just goes back, like for me, there's not one school, again, I've said this before, but there's not one school in this district from, Country High, Kimmy, Baca High, there's not one school in this district that I wouldn't trust that would have my kids' best interest in mind. I really hope that that's really communicated and accepted. I also know that parents feel that, if they don't get into this school, then their kids' lives are it's ended. But it's just the reality is it's not true. The opportunities are there throughout every school. Again, it goes back to what we make of it, and kind of actually what Sean mentioned, what we work towards achieving, and earning. All right, thank you.
Can I say add one thing to that?
Yeah, you betcha, James. How are you this evening?
Good.
Very good.
You guys. Just the piece of, I mean, there's no way Buckingham can compete with Vaca High's AP program or with Wilsey Wood's VEX programs. And they're larger and offer so many more things that we can't. They're better in a lot of ways. One of the ways that the two things that families say when they come to our school is small school is what draws them to us, and college prep. And so the piece of, for me, being there a long time, trying to honor that. But one thing I want to also make very clear is the college prep piece. We want to try and give our students the best chance at whatever they do. We have a lot of students that go straight into the military. We have a lot of students that go straight into the trades. And one of my passions, I want to build our trade program. I want to build our bridge to Solano. But just that piece of rebranding with this move is very important. I was really pushing to try and move this up and move the pace of the name change a little bit sooner. And there's drawbacks to that for sure. We spent a lot of time talking to a lot of different stakeholders about trying to get their input, and by and large their input was, yeah, let's do this. And that piece of trying to honor, I mean, there's things all throughout the district. I'm proud to be a part of the district, and not take away anything from any other school. But our school is smaller and a school of choice. And so to try to honor that and say, we want to give our student, whatever they're choosing, the best possible thing. But the majority of our stakeholders are drawn to us for two things: being a small school, and they want, the majority of them want that college prep. But over the 4 years, that changes. And a lot of our students change their mind and go to different things. And to build those things, just because the collegiate's in the name doesn't mean that we're not building trade pathways, that we're not building those other skills and pathways for students. So I just wanted to give that. I've been at the school for a long time as a teacher. The administrator thing is a new thing for us, but I was fully on board and kind of pushing for, with the move, if you think about just identity and vision, it makes sense to try and do it during that time.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I got something.
Ms. Smallberg.
Thank you. Hey, you guys, I have to tell you, I called Jane today over this a little bit because it feels a little elitist, and I'm very much about wanting all students to feel like they have a seat at the table. But I have to tell you, it's what the two of you have done in your time in your positions at that school, and the culture and the way people feel. I could not be more proud of both of you. And so I want you to know, I recognize it. We as a board recognize it, that you guys have really dug in and done some of the most amazing work, and I'm so impressed. So I just didn't want to let the moment go and not share that with you.
Thank you for that. And I just want to add one more thing, and I didn't add this before because it's a long meeting and we're last, and I usually am very fast. So I was thinking you put me at the end because I'm fast. But this is just part one. As I said, part two comes next in the charter revision, and a big piece of what we're going to be doing in talking about that elitist piece, because we don't want that. That's not what we want. And so one of the things that happens when students, we're a school of choice, and we have priorities that students get. And one of the priorities, obviously, for a Vacaville resident, you get priority. But we're thinking about changing the existing priorities and adding new ones. So one of them that we were really excited about doing is an extra priority for students who would be first generation college. We're moving into a lower income neighborhood. We're thinking about, we have a Vacaville extra priority, right? But if we maybe do even smaller geographic area. So if you're right on our school, maybe that's an extra priority. So those are all the things that we're considering with our charter revision. Obviously, it's going to come to you guys to make the final say on that. But we definitely don't want to be elitist. That's not what that is. But this is just the first step in a longer process.
I think you have to pronounce it correctly to be admitted. It's a word that a lot of people mangle.
Buckingham? Yeah, I got that.
Okay, so how do you say it, Mr. Kitsis?
Collegiate.
Okay, that's not what you said last time.
I looked up the pronunciation.
Anyone else? James and Allie, thank you very much for your input and your leadership at that school. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed, and we appreciate it, and I know the kids and families appreciate it as well. So with that, someone remind me, we did have a motion and a second, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to the vote. Shelley?
Yes.
Cherie?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And myself is a yes as well. Item 17I. This is approval of the one-time off-schedule compensation for unrepresented employee groups. This is very similar to what the rest of the groups did, except for the upper management, right? The superintendent, associate superintendents, and assistant superintendents. So do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Tracy, second by Ms. Malberg.
May I ask a question?
You may ask a question.
Sorry, I just want to be brief here, if I can. I don't know if this is for Jane or Kelly, but I know this is a small amount of money, but we're also talking about potentially a very large budget deficit. And I just want to make sure we're not in a situation where we're going to be giving money that we're going to have to take away later. So I just looking for maybe a little bit of reassurance that that's not the case.
Of course sorry. I'm raising my hand too.
Kelly or Jane.
Please.
Kelly, you want to address that?
Yeah. So that was actually a concern that we had talked about earlier. Chris reminds us all the time we don't have very many opportunities to give, and this isn't off the schedule. So the good part about it is it's not ongoing, and you are correct that it does not include senior management. And so this is really our, principals and coordinators and those kinds of folks. And so it is one time, it's off the schedule. I believe the cost, I don't remember that totally off the top of my head, but I think it's in the 40,000 range.
50.
Or 50, thank you, Chris. 50,000 range. So it is a one-time cost. It's not ongoing.
It includes the other unrepresented groups, which are the crossing guards and
confidential,
which is a small, and wasn't there a third group there?
This just rounds out all the other employee groups that didn't receive it, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Except for the upper management. So,
and this was negotiated months ago.
Sean,
are you good? You have another question? Or okay, anybody? Tracy.
I just want to clarify my statement that to Chris, what Kelly said about Chris, this is the time to give, to be consistent with our approach. And because we're coming into a time, what I meant by, of course it does, is because we know that there's going to be a reduction in COLA. So, hopefully nobody's pay is changed, but it would be, not necessarily super honest that everything is on the table to keep us afloat and everybody working. So I don't want anybody to think that we're giving it to you to take it back, that we are saying thank you to you, that you are just as crucial to the team as everybody else. And times could suck soon. And so we're not trying to take it away. We're all, anyway, I just wanted to make sure I didn't. Anyway, go ahead.
Thank you. Shelley.
Yes.
Cherie. Tracy. Oh, Cherie, yes?
You're good. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Tracy.
Yep.
Michael.
Yep.
Sean.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Item 17J, approval of declaration for need for fully qualified educators.
I'll make a motion.
It's moved by Kitsis, second by Sean. Shelley.
Yes.
Cherie.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
And myself. And we're going to 17K. It's recommended that the board approve the contract with Aurora Environmental Services, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $111,903. And this is not a Measure A project. Do I have
I'll
a
move
motion?
it. I'll move it.
Moved by Malberg.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Dally. Shelley,
Yes.
Cherie,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Michael,
Yep.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. So item 18A is the consent calendar. It's requested the board approve the consent calendar items as presented. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Silva, second by Wyndham. Shelley,
Yes.
Cherie,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Michael,
Yep.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and myself. Item 19A is an informational item. The secondary leadership team has approved submission of this primary instructional material for the board consideration. And it is the Art of Floral Design, and it is available at Vacaville for public to review if you'd like to, 100 Monte Vista. Appreciate if you could give them a phone call to make an appointment to come see that if you're interested. With that, item 20 is regular future business, regular meeting May 28th and June 11th. And one last thing before we close, it's 9:35, an extremely long meeting, but I think we did some very good things for this district tonight. We heard how well our staff is taking care of our kids. I'll spend all the time in the world doing this kind of stuff. So I appreciate everybody's input, humor for going this long as well, but a very good meeting. And with that, meeting's adjourned.
All right.
Good night, Vacaville.
Great job. Bye, everybody.